we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. And hello, world. It is great to be with you again. Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, good to be with you again. I am Rob Brown. He is the great one, Colonel Grudge, hashtag Dad Kicks, the Alpha and the Omega of ESPN Upstate. Lonzo chiefed out today. It's almost like it's playoff weekend or something,
Yeah, it's almost like it is. Go Chiefs. If you want to see how chiefed out I am, go to ESPN Upstate's Facebook page and go to Rob's YouTube page and go to Twitter, and you can see.
Dude is red. He's very red today. We got the
in a lot of ways.
Head wrap. We got the Kelsey jersey. He's redded out. It's playoff weekend, ladies and gentlemen. It's divisional round of the National Football League playoffs today. And boy, howdy, are we going to talk football? You know it. We're going to give you our official picks for all four games this weekend with 2 bids to the AFC Championship on the line, 2 to the NFC Championship game on the line. We're going to tell you who we think is playing next weekend, trying to win a ride to the Super Bowl. That's around the corner. I got to tell you, Lonzo, I see an upset on both sides of the bracket, I think. I think I got an upset on both ends of the bracket, and I think you'll be very happy about one of my upset picks. You'll probably agree with me anyway, but we'll find out later on in the show. Coming up at 12:30, very excited about this, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up at 12:30 this afternoon, we are going to be joined by a couple of guests. Doug and Joe Irwin are the owner, president, CEO. They're basically all the titles over with the Greenville Triumph, but we're not talking soccer today. I mean, we are in a roundabout way. Coming up at 12:30, Doug and Joe Irwin are going to join us because the Greenville Triumph, yesterday evening, I was there for this, pitched a soccer-exclusive stadium, which would serve as the official facility for the Greenville Triumph, but would also be a destination for potential other soccer matches from around the state. This place would be capable of hosting high school and college championship matches, etc. Also, I think would go a long way towards the continued growth of the sports community here in the Upstate. So we're going to talk to Doug and Joe Irwin at 12:30, and I am going to open up the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307 for your questions for Doug and Joe. The reason we are doing this interview is not just it's not a sales pitch for them to come on and say, here's the great things. It's to be able to answer the questions the Upstate has, because these types of projects with $30 million price tags attached to them, obviously, people have questions about them. And that is not only fair, it's exactly what Doug and Joe expect, and they want to answer those questions for you. So if you would like to get more details on that, you can go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, and read all about them there. And then formulate your questions for Doug and Joe, who will join us coming up at 12:30 to discuss the perceived impact of a new soccer facility in Mauldin that would serve the Upstate as a whole and be the home field for the Greenville Triumph moving forward. We will have that conversation at 12:30. And obviously, we got a lot of other stuff we need to get into over the course of the day. But before we get into any of that, we got to get into this.
Let's do lunch. This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys are here.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
It is the lunch breakdown. The 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friends, family, coworkers, or the dog. This is the lunch breakdown. I have to tell you, Lonzo, yesterday I got a couple of texts that absolutely cracked me up. Got off the air yesterday, and I was talking with a friend of mine that works for one of the train companies that runs tracks through the area. And he was telling me that the night before, he had been listening to one of our shows from earlier in the week on our podcast version at espnupstate.com. Go there, click on the podcast section. And not only can you download all 3 hours of the show every day, but we also put up highlight segments of the show in short edited down forms so that if you got smaller chunks of time, you got a 10, 12 minute car ride you're going on, you can just listen to the best segments of the show. Anyway, we put up the segment of the show about the helicopter, the gigantic swinging blades hanging below a helicopter. He said that these things are used to clear trees off of railroad tracks. That's why they were in the area. And he said that he sent it to a bunch of the guys that work for the train company, and that now all of these guys are listening to the Rob Brown Show. So hello to all of you guys that are running the trains through the area. We very much appreciate what you do, and we're glad to have you along for the ride. Glad that the helicopter got you here.
I just want to say I am not interested in riding in the helicopter, but Rob is, because I don't fly. But I would love to ride on a train because I've
awesome. Helicopters are better. And that's not an insult to trains, is a compliment to the helicopter. Then yesterday evening, Lonzo, I'm sitting at the house. And as I'm sitting at the house, I get another ding on my phone from a gentleman by the name of Stephen Davis. And Stephen Davis says that
not the running back,
Stephen Davis. Stephen Davis is the general manager for the Rotor Blade, which is the company that runs the helicopter we were talking about. He said they're HQ'd in Georgetown, South Carolina, and they have 10 helicopters that they fly around the state to do this kind of work. They also have one helicopter that has one single 47-inch topping blade. This blade goes sideways to just lop the tops off of trees when it needs to happen.
So 47, that's 4 feet, right? No.
Ballparking it. That blade's almost almost my wingspan.
No, it's an inch over 4 feet.
So there you go.
There you go.
Yay big, of just one sideways blade that lops the top off trees. Anyways, he says they heard the segment. They were all listening and laughing to the segment, and then said, if you'd like me to come on the show and give you the details about the helicopter, I'm happy to do it. We got to do that, right?
Oh, we absolutely have to do that. I think the listeners want it. We want it. And I can't wait to hear about all the details about this.
Oh, 100%.
Because that thing is so cool.
100%. The helicopter, we at the Rob Brown Show, big fans of the chopper, all right? They are the best in the state at leveling trees like small armies. It's only fitting that they get partnered up with the Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year here in the Upstate. It only makes sense. It's a good partnership.
I hope they're prepared for the zombie questions, because you got to ask it. You got to.
Coming.
Yeah.
Can we rely on you? Are you trustworthy in the upcoming zombie apocalypse? All right, item number 1 on the lunch breakdown to 3 things you're going to be talking about around the lunch table today. We start with this one. The NCAA continues to shed responsibilities and place them upon the individual conferences. Yesterday afternoon, NCAA board members voted to ratify a new streamlined version of the association's constitution. It was proposed a couple of months ago. We talked about it here on the show. 80.4% of NCAA board members voted in favor of the new constitution, which basically means that it is going to get the stamp of approval on the first of a 2-part process to significantly reduce, according to ESPN, the responsibility of the association's national office and to overhaul rules at all levels of college sports during one of the most tumultuous times in the industry's history, end quote. Now, each of the NCAA's 3 divisions will start working on revising or creating their own rules that will align with the fundamental principles laid out in the new constitution. NCAA President Mark Emmert said, quote, "This needs to be a declaration that we know that now in the coming months, we're going to think afresh about college sports," end quote. The new constitution was prompted by significant legal and political losses for the NCAA last summer. It is designed to simplify what many college sports leaders have called an over-complex and outdated rulebook. It shrinks the Board of Governors, which is the association's decision-making entity, from 20 members down to just 9, and tries to ensure that current and former athletes have a larger voice in shaping the future of the NCAA. The new constitution states plainly that college athletes should not be paid directly by their schools for athletic participation, but leaves it up to each division to decide what education-related benefits that athletes can receive from their schools and how athletes can make money from other sources by selling the rights to their own name, images, and likenesses. The groups in charge of sorting through those specifics and writing new rules met this week during the NCAA's annual convention in Indianapolis and are slated to complete their work by August, end quote. So we're going to talk more about this later on the show, but effectively what this does is streamlines the NCAA. It cuts the NCAA size down significantly. It cuts the decision-making factors down significantly. It puts more of the power into the individual divisions and the conferences that run those, so that the control over those decisions can be made by those that obviously it impacts the most. And it also seeks to add student voices into the decision-making process. So now when decisions are being made more by the conferences and by the divisions these athletes play in, these athletes now have a spot at the table to say, here are our concerns, our questions, our wants, our needs, et cetera, et cetera. And overall, and we'll kind of break it down a little later in the show, Zoe, overall, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's like the federal government giving allowing the states to make their own choices, which they're supposed to be able to do. This is the same thing here. And the NCAA sees the writing on the wall. They're on shaky ground, period. Because a lot of schools have at least rumored to be talking about leaving them behind.
Yeah, entire conferences. I mean, there's no smoke to the rumor that the Southeastern Conference and probably the Big Ten, the first two, have at least had thoughts about breaking away and forming an entirely new collegiate, at least football structure, I guess would be the right word for it. The only way that the NCAA can jump out ahead of that is to basically say, tell you what, we'll give you more decision-making power. Within our entity, the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC, the Pac-12, you guys will have more ability to make decisions. Now, I do have some questions. I do have some concerns about this, right? If ultimately you put all the power into the conferences and into the divisions, aren't you effectively disbanding the NCAA at this point, right? Like, they'll have oversight on the biggest issues of the day. But since the lower entities have more power in the decision-making process, could this not just be hastening that division further? We'll talk about that later on in the show. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. Love this. Love this. I got 2 robo-ump stories for you here. Lonzo hangs his head in I don't know, despair, I guess. We have got 2 different stories. Number 1, CONCACAF, which is the Confederation of Soccer Clubs from North America, Central America, and the Caribbean, right? Which obviously includes the U.S., Mexico, Canada. It also includes, obviously, all of the Central American and Caribbean Ocean countries. They announced that they will use video assistant referee, VAR, for the remainder of the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifying campaign, as well as additional events, including the 2022 CONCACAF Champions League. CONCACAF cited the successful implementation of VAR in the 21 CONCACAF Nation League Finals, the 21 CONCACAF Gold Cup, and the latter stages of the 2021 Scotiabank CONCACAF Champions League, and explaining that decision, which comes just over a week before the January and February slate of World Cup qualifying octagonal fixtures. The previous 8 fixtures have not used VAR. The next round will. VAR will make its debut on January 27th, 6 days from now, when the U.S. men's national team, currently second in the octagonal, host El Salvador, while Canada, who leads the octagonal, visit Honduras. Then on January 30th, the U.S. will visit their neighbors up north at Tim Hortons Field in Ontario, and they will use VAR in that game as well. While CONCACAF has announced that they are moving to VAR, the New York Times is reporting that robo-umps, who, remember, just a couple of days ago, we told you were discontinued in one of the smaller coastal leagues. Major League Baseball is expanding its automated strike zone experiment to AAA, the highest level of the minor leagues. So now, the guys that are quite literally one step away from a major league roster will be using automated balls and strikes, or at least experimenting with them. MLB's website posted a hiring notice seeking seasonal employees to operate the automated ball and strike system, and said they are recruiting employees to operate the system for AAA ball. The Independent Atlantic League, which includes the New York Revolution, became the first American professional league to let a computer call balls and strikes at its All-Star game back in July of 2019. Major League Baseball discontinued it at lower levels, and I was very upset about it a couple of days ago, but there were no minor leagues last year. They got rid of it in a smaller coastal league, and they reached an agreement with the Major League Baseball Umpires Association in their latest labor contract that started in 2020. Major League Baseball Umpires Association said they would cooperate and assist if Rob Manfred decides to utilize the system at the major league level. MLB said the robot umps will be used at some spring training ballparks in Florida and remain at Low A Southeast, and could be used in non-MLB venues. So they're not putting this in the big ballparks yet, Lonzo, but they are putting it into the highest levels of minor league baseball as an experiment. It does not say that they will be using them in actual games. It will be tested during spring training and any other exhibitions that pop up, but this is a big deal.
Big deal for you and those like you who want to see the robots take over the world. Yeah, it's a big deal. It absolutely is a big deal. This is just, just the start and the beginning of referees and umpires losing their jobs, losing their livelihoods, so that you can get the perfection you desire. And there's going to come a time when you're going to go, I miss the umpires. I miss the referees. It just doesn't work, man. It's just not working. It's not working. I am on to you and your ilk, okay? All right? There are those like me who do not want to see the...
Oh, were you saying something? Sorry, I just had this.
Yeah, if you do that too much, we'll get flagged.
Just had the Sarah McLachlan song pop into my head for no reason.
Yeah, you keep doing that, we'll get flagged, and don't. Although maybe we should get flagged so we can lose this video, so people won't know.
We won't get flagged.
That the robots.
We won't get flagged because it is robots and algorithms that do the flagging. And if this is truly a conspiracy, they will be on my side, and they would want to promote this segment as they have made an ally in me. I hope our robot overlords smile fondly upon me when the takeover happens.
Haughty Intellectual wins the segment. All right. As far
I know, I really do.
You need some bass in it.
Because there's no evil here.
It doesn't work unless you have bass in it. There we go. See, there we go. See, that is coming from your heart.
I don't have a heart. It's gears, Item number 3 on the lunch breakdown. We told you a little bit about it earlier in the show. We're going to be joined coming up in just a few minutes by Doug and Joe Ehrman to talk about it. The Greenville Triumph presented a proposal to the Greenville the Greenville County Council last night on their plans for a new stadium and complex at Mauldin's Bridgeway Stadium. Estimated costs around $38.6 million, expected to be an 8,100-seat stadium. The Triumph claimed that there will be an economic impact of at least $270+ million of growth in the area due to the facility, with at least 350 jobs created by the stadium being in Mauldin. They said they believe that this stadium will be able to host upwards of 150 events per year. It would be a soccer field, obviously, but they say the facility would be able to also host concerts, festivals, community events, et cetera, et cetera. Now, yesterday, the Greenville County Council did not give a thumbs up on moving forward. They decided instead to basically put the idea on hold until at earliest their next regular county council meeting, potentially the one after that, so that county councilmen would have the opportunity to write out questions, to ask those questions both to the Triumph, to the county administrator, who is kind of the overseer of these types of things, to the engineers that are building it, and to the local community. We are going to talk about this a little more in depth coming up at 12:30 when Joe Irwin, the owner of the Greenville Triumph, and Doug Irwin, who runs the club for him, join us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Very excited to talk about that. But before we do that, let's go ahead and run to a break. When we come back here in just a moment from right now, I've got a little quiz for Lonzo. It's not a hard one. I think he's going to know the answer when I get into it. But I'll tell you what that little quiz is and why when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
QC.
Tell you about my friends at QC Kinetics. Joint pain's real. It happens. And if you're Lonzo, especially when it starts to snow, you want to get rid of that joint pain. You don't want to have to deal with it anymore, right? Let me tell you about my friends at QC Kinetics. Their non-surgical regenerative therapy harnesses your body's natural healing ability. When you're young, that connective tissue inside your joints, it's able to heal itself, regenerate itself so that you can keep, doing things, end of sentence. But as you get older, that connective tissue starts to wear down. It starts to denigrate. And as it does, your body cannot heal it and restore it like it used to until now with our friends at QC Kinetics. They kickstart that healing and regenerative power within your joints so that joint connective tissue begins to regenerate, begins to heal, gets rid of the inflammation and the pain so you can, do those things again without having the joint pain or without the fear of the joint pain. It's just that simple. Want to learn more? Go to their website at qckinetics.com, qckinetix.com, qckinetics.com, or call them right now at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show, get your first consultation for free, and find out how you can feel better, faster, naturally with our friends at QC Kinetics. Doug and Joe are going to call us, but on separate lines. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
NFL Network reporting that he did have a second interview with the team on yesterday. Colts running backs coach Scotty Montgomery has also had 2 interviews with the team. College basketball this weekend. Clemson on Saturday will match up against Pitt, while South Carolina will take on Georgia. Also, Furman and Wofford will match up against each other coming up tomorrow night. That's a game that you can hear right here. And South Carolina Upstate, they've got a Saturday contest against Charleston Southern. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sportscenter update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Have you heard Offsides with Mark Ryan?
Coming up on a Friday episode of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel, we'll pick all of these divisional games. Why there's one upset we're going to call that you're not going to see coming. Brent Beard, way too early top 5 playoff predictions for next year in college football, plus Joseph Hastings. Might there be a surprise for Clemson as signing day nears?
The Upstate is talking about Offsides with Mark Ryan now 3 to 7 p.m. on ESPN Upstate.
Borderlands Comics and Games, proud sponsor of the Upstate Pulse, has been Upstate South Carolina's leader in comics and games for over 30 years. Borderlands has over 300,000 comics, graphic novels, and games. They also have the biggest variety of toys and collectibles around. And now, they're your Pokemon headquarters. Borderlands Comics and Games, 1434 Lawrence Road. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a cold day to find out that your heater isn't working. When this happens, you need an HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a proud distributor of the Coleman line of HVAC systems. To keep your family or business warm this winter, and give Priority Heating and Air a call today at 591-1847 or online at PriorityHeatingandAirHVAC.com.
Your HVAC problem is our priority, priority heating and air.
The Eagles Hotel California Tour. Live in concert with a full orchestra. Performing their iconic album, Hotel California, beginning to end, plus a greatest hits set. The Eagles, Bonsecourt Wellness Arena, April 25th. Get tickets Friday at LiveNation.com.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. The Just for Pros event is back at Lowe's, and they're celebrating hardworking pros with special savings on the top tools, plus bonus perks to help you with your business. Lowe's, the new home for pros.
Yeah, no, I agree, Tracy. That stadium looks fantastic. I'll show the picture of it when we get Doug and Joe. We're actually going to cut out of this real quick because they're calling in about a minute. All right, so I was going to run that quiz at Lonzo, but we're actually going to hold off on that for just a minute because coming up here in the next segment, Doug and Joe Irwin are going to join us. The Greenville Triumph have proposed a soccer facility in Mauldin that they put in front of the County Council of Greenville last night. It's about a $38 million proposed stadium, 8,100 seats that they claim will create about 350 plus jobs and bring upwards of $270 million of revenue to the county. We're going to be joined by Doug and Joe Irwin both when we come back here in the next segment. What I'd like to happen is if you guys have questions about this stadium, that's why Doug and Joe are coming on. They want to answer questions of the community. They did that last night in front of the county council in order to speak to them and answer their questions. We are now waiting for the county council to present more questions to them before they give a thumbs up or thumbs down vote on it. But we want to take questions from the community. So if you have questions for Doug and Joe about this stadium, text them into the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307, 71307, and I will ask Doug and Joe those questions for you when we come back. Text your questions about the stadium to 71307, and we will answer them next on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
Rob Brown Show. Hey, Joe. We've got about a minute left in this break, and Rob will be right with you. Hold on.
You got both of them on?
Yep.
Sweet.
Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, the unicorn of cleaning.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can really control your savings. Because when you drive less, you save more with pay per mile. So you're really in control of your savings. Only paying for the miles you drive. Yeah, life is good when you're in the driver's seat. Allstate, here, better protection costs.
Lisa is going to bring me supper. She's awesome.
I'll say I can run and get you food after the show today if you need me to.
She's going to do it.
Okay.
Introducing DirecTV Stream, the best of live TV and on demand with no annual contract. Get your TV together at directv.com.
Here's the problem, though. They can't call in to ask their questions. So
That's why I said. That's why I said
okay.
text them.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Thank you for joining us, Upstate, South Carolina. It's great to be with you. One of the things that I have told you since I moved here a couple of years ago is that it is my goal to make sure that this show is used as a platform to elevate local sports in the area. And one of the groups that I think has done a fantastic job of that over the years, not just their own sport, but in using that sport to try to enrich the community, are the Greenville Triumph. And we are now joined by Joe and Doug Irwin of the Greenville Triumph here on the Rob Brown Show, who yesterday evening presented their plans for an 8,100-seat soccer facility to the Greenville County Council. And they join us now to talk about that. We'll start with you, Joe. Welcome, my man. Great to have you back on the show, sir.
Hey, Rob. It is great to be with you again. It's been a while, and I love your show. Love how you do amplify the whole local sports scene in addition to, the regional and national scene. Thanks on behalf of sports fans everywhere for all the Greenville and Upstate love.
I appreciate it. And, of course, Doug Irwin joining us on the show as well. Dougie Fresh, what's happening, man? How you doing, buddy?
How's it going, Rob? Great seeing you last night at the council meeting, and looking forward to talking with you here today.
Of course. And fellas, let's start with this. And Joe, I'll give you first crack at it. And I think the one question, I've got a couple of people that have texted in some questions, and we're going to get those here in just a minute. But before we do, I think the first question that any of us would have is, aside from giving the Greenville Triumph a dedicated home and training facility, et cetera, what would this stadium bring to the community to make it a worthwhile investment for Greenville County, for the residents, et cetera? And Joe, I'll give you first shot at it.
Yeah, it's a great question. And it brings, Rob, so much, because it's not just a soccer stadium. And we wouldn't propose this for just soccer. It's a multi-purpose facility. It can play host to American football, rugby, lacrosse, field hockey. I mean, you name it. When you've got a rectangular athletic field, you can use it for all those sports, plus concerts, plus festivals. And if you build some of the interior spaces, you can host corporate events. And we see up to 150 events programmatically. We've been working with programmers around the country, and 150 is probably being conservative events each year at this stadium. So the economic impact on top of that is the Clemson University Regional Economic Impact Lab projects $270 million of economic impact over a 10-year period, and 400 jobs a year in operating the whole thing. So it's an impactful community asset, and we're privileged to bring it to County Council and the City of Mauldin's Council.
Doug, we obviously saw last night that there, and justifiably so, I think, a lot of questions from the Greenville County Council. This is something that there will be costs associated with from the county itself, obviously, to be offset if the economic plan you guys presented comes to fruition down the line with even a profit attached. But as far as the feedback you guys have gotten so far, Doug, what's it been like? What kind of questions have you guys been answering predominantly? And do you feel like what you have presented has answered most of those questions? I know there's a bigger presentation coming down the line, but what kind of feedback have you been getting so far?
Yeah, Rob, from our fan base, our supporter base, and from the Upstate community, the feedback's been great. I think a lot of people realize that there's a need for this, not just for Triumph Soccer, but as my dad mentioned, for all the various events, concerts we can host at the stadium. So the feedback's been great. And, last night we were asked to be ready to field more questions, and we're going to field those. I think a lot of people are asking about, how it's going to be funded. And we went into some detail about that last night. We're adamant about not creating any new taxes for Mauldin City or Greenville County residents as part of this project. But I think a lot of the questions were why Mauldin, and we could talk for an hour about why Mauldin. But what it boiled down to for us, for the soccer team, is looking across the last 3 seasons at where our ticket holders are coming from, and doing a heat map and seeing that the majority of those ticket holders, the hottest spot on that map, was right where Bridgeway Station and Mauldin is, in the Mauldin-Simpsonville area. We've got a lot of interest in the team in that area and really across Greenville County and beyond. We saw pockets in that heat map from Spartanburg and Anderson and Seneca, but that brightest part on the map is right where Bridgeway Station is, and we know it's going to be a great development. It's already underway, and to be a part of that, realizing that a lot of people might want to see a stadium downtown, but knowing the challenges of downtown Greenville in terms of land, we had made a commitment as a club that if we were going to look outside the downtown core, it needed to be something that made sense for our fans and also was part of a dynamic development. And we're not real estate developers ourselves, so we were not going to build an entire development. So seeing what Bridgeway Station and the city of Mauldin have been able to lay out the plans there, we just felt like this was the perfect spot for us.
Joined here on the Rob Brown Show by Doug and Joe Irwin to talk about the proposed stadium, 8,100 seats out in Mauldin. And, I was there obviously for the presentation last night, Joe, that you made to the county, and they're going to play a big role in this. First question we've got from a listener on our Preferred Home Services text line is, what role do they foresee Greenville County playing in the programming of the site outside of the Triumph? For example, will County Recreation District be responsible for, have the input, have the ability to ask you guys to book events there, et cetera? Effectively, I guess to shorthand it, Joe, will residents in the county be able to come to you guys and propose events that this facility will be able to be used for?
Absolutely, Rob. It's a great question from your listener. And, one of the things that we, propose, we're not dictating anything, of course, is a proposal for the county to actually own the facility. We would simply be the lead tenant, and we're proposing paying a rent of $350,000 a year. That's a big number. I think it'd be the biggest number in all of USL League One, but the stadium gives us the opportunity to earn some of that back, and by the county owning the stadium, to the listener's question, we could play all kinds of youth, high school. You could imagine high school youth matches, tournaments, upstate championships, the youth clubs around town, YMCA, who, they're always wanting more field space and opportunities for play. Rec soccer, there's potential for that. It's early in the game, isn't it, to figure out how to work the matrix of programming, but that's a challenge we welcome. And, we know, Rob, that part of our job is to be a great steward of the taxpayer's piece of this, because we're asking the taxpayer to be a part of this. But as Doug said, what we're not asking for is any new taxes, because it's not necessary. And I think those programming chances will be many.
Joe, one of the things that I noticed last night, obviously, and of course, this is fiscal responsibility from the county, was talking about, you guys proposed and mentioned multiple times, no new taxes for this. And we heard the county administrator say that a chunk of this would come from, for instance, a hospitality tax, which are paid for by folks staying in hotels in the area and potentially restaurants, et cetera.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that, obviously, is figuring out the financial portion of that. What type of feedback, what type of questions have you gotten from the county, and how have you answered those so far as the funding for this stadium, which I think is rightfully the biggest question that folks in Greenville County have?
100%. And what we propose is a multifaceted way for Triumph to contribute. We will take a lot of the seating currently within the Triumph Stadium at Legacy Early College. That stadium seating will be swapped out for new seats and then given by Triumph to this project. And that's about 1.75 million worth of bucket seats. It doesn't account for all 8,100, but it gets us about halfway there on just the seating. And then beyond that, Rob, it is those revenue streams and projecting revenue in the building. And that's why our rent has to be significant. Would we like for it to be less than the proposed $350,000 a year? Sure, we would. But we also want to pay our fair share and give the county a chance to know that the investment, and you spoke about this at the beginning of the call, that the investment is worthy, that it produces the economic impact and the jobs. And your mention of hospitality tax is an absolute key. And here's why. Hospitality tax comes into the county. I think right now there are projected streams of $10 million a year in property tax revenue, and outgo of that is about $3 million. That's a spread or capacity of about $7 million a year for projects. And the whole purpose of property taxes was to create an engine for new investment in hospitality and tourism-related expenditures that would in turn grow more hospitality tax receipts. So with the stadium being, as we propose it now, and we'll listen to alternate proposals, of course, from county, but as we propose it now, with hospitality tax paying all the public money, then, we entice an NCAA soccer tournament, maybe it's the Final Four, the College Cup, to come play in, the upstate of South Carolina. That brings in people from all over the country. And those hotel, spends and restaurant, gasoline, everything that's spent in the region, that goes into more hospitality tax revenue. I hate to say it definitively because I don't know it, but we believe that this will generate more ultimately in hospitality tax receipts than will be spent to build the thing. And that's why we really believe, and so far the feedback we're getting largely, it's a win-win kind of proposal.
Doug, from the Triumph point of view, you guys have referred to yourself as the Upstate soccer team. The name Greenville's on the banner, but I know for a fact, as being a member of the Riot, that there are members that come from as far away as Spartanburg, et cetera. To have a dedicated facility with the Triumph branding and the Triumph logo for a team that has made such an impact in USL League One. I have seen the Triumph referenced in, all the way up to USL material about the impact they have had on the league. What would it mean to the team, and how much potential growth would there be for the Greenville Triumph if there is a dedicated stadium to call their own home?
I think it's tough to even quantify. The potential so great. We've been fortunate to have some great on-field success with Coach Harks and the squad across the first 3 seasons, and we don't want to pat ourselves on the back too much, but we think and hope that we've done a great job of living our mission in the community as well across 3 seasons. But I think we've really enjoyed our time at Legacy and continue to enjoy that. But to be able to find our footing and create that financial sustainability long term that we need to continue to deliver the high standard product we hold ourselves to is huge. And from a player talent attraction standpoint for the men's side and even for the new W League team, facilities are a big part of that, I know. And for the fan base, just to have a spot that they can call their own, that is that home for Triumph Soccer and just the sport of soccer in general in the Upstate, I think it would really take us to the next level and hope to continue to make us one of the shining stars in minor league soccer across the country.
Joe,
Doug, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Rob, if I could add to what Doug just said, I think he's 100% right. And the chance, building to 8,100 seats, we could have, been a little smaller maybe, but going up to 8,100 gives us the potential for a lot of international matches to come here. I think we receive, and you correct me, Doug, if I'm off on this, we've received inquiries 8 or 9 times from international teams from England, Europe, Mexico, wanting to come play Triumph here in a, what they call a friendly, as many of your fans will know, an exhibition. And we've not been able to accept those opportunities because certain standards have to be met with locker rooms and other facilities at the stadium site. And Legacy Early College is fantastic, but it lacks some of those key facilities for international competition. And also for broadcast lighting, where we've been able to get by so far, but this allows us to up our game and be the kind of broadcast-minded stadium that really, and with the seating, could even see us potentially moving up to the USL Championship division. This is not a prediction of that, but if you're building a stadium It makes sense to have the future in mind, as we learned so many times, in life over the years. You don't want to build for tomorrow. You do want to build for tomorrow and today at the same time to a degree, as long as you don't overdo it. And that's why we didn't propose anything like 15 or 18,000 seats. That would have been overkill.
One of the things that I saw, I heard it pop up last night, guys, and I know, Joe, I'll ask you because I know you spoke directly on this, but one of the things that I saw pop up is Mauldin, obviously being a few minutes outside of downtown Greenville, was travel and traffic into and out of this facility, and hopefully other venues and facilities that would pop up around this one because of it. What can you tell me about the traffic layout you guys have looked into, the ability to get people into and out of this facility for games, concerts, events, etc., without clogging up the infrastructure?
That's a great question too, Rob. And we did speak to it some last night. This location, which is about 8 minutes from downtown Greenville, from where I'm sitting right now, is phenomenal in that, as to Doug's point earlier about sitting in, the hotbed of parents and families buying tickets to sporting events and coming downtown, for them to have that ability to do it in their own backyard. Plus, to your question, for those traveling in, that 385 corridor down from downtown Greenville out through the Golden Strip, that is one of the best sections of interstate highway in America. And one of the fascinating things, I was asked to go out there once and stand on the proposed site. This was probably a year ago. Stand on the proposed site and watch the traffic for 5 minutes. I did it. I didn't know why I was being asked. When the 5 minutes had gone by, I was asked this question: what did you not see? And I'm going, oh, how do I answer that question? And I said, I don't know what I didn't see. I saw a lot of cars, but everything moved very, evenly, very smoothly, no tie-ups. And, the response was, yeah, because you don't see a lot of tractor trailer trucks. They all move north-south. That's why you see all the immense tie-ups and slowdowns on I-85. What this does is for people coming from the Greenville downtown area, people coming from south up 85 and over from the rest of the Golden Strip, it is an easy in, a fast in, and just as fast of an out. And the corresponding roads, Bridges Road, Holland Road, if people ride around out there, they'll see traffic flow is extraordinary.
Let's do this, fellas, because we got about another minute left. And Doug, I'll start with you. Obviously, community support is ultimately going to be the deciding factor here, both from the standpoint of the county council giving the thumbs up and folks in Greenville being willing to work with you guys. Joe, or Doug, let's start with you, and then Joe, I'll give you the same opportunity. Your message to Greenville County to get them on board with this proposed development.
Yeah, I think more than anything, Rob, what we hope for is what we saw last night with the finance committee, is that willingness to engage in discussion, to learn, what's right about the proposal, what's best, where there are some challenges about the funding maybe not being fully there. If it's not, and we don't think that's an issue, but it's just that engagement. This town, this community, the whole Upstate has always thrived when we work together, and public-private partnerships have committed to the excellence of the livability up here in the Upstate. And that's why we've got the arena. When people question the development of the arena downtown, say, well, we've got an old auditorium, it's still serving us well. But it was, thinking for a better day, a bigger day. And think about the NCAA tournaments coming to the Bon Secours Wellness Arena and what that does for Greenville and the Upstate. This will also do, and so as we move through the process, that dialogue that's what we asked for last night, and we're thrilled that we got it.
Doug, got about 30 seconds. What you got?
I think it's just continue to ask us those questions. We're ready to find some answers to make sure this is a project everybody feels comfortable with. And last night we had such a great show of support from fans and supporters and even people outside of the Triumph ecosystem that we just want to support the project as a whole. So, we need that support continuing on. And as my dad said, a public-private partnership, that's what's a great success story in this town and this region. So we hope to continue to chart that course, and we thank everybody for their support to date.
Joe?
We sure do. And Doug, can I ask just one more thing, Rob? This is also a chance for a county council and governments to do something for girls and women. We haven't had enough of that opportunity in the upstate. Historically, it's been about boys sports and men's sports. This one is equal. So it's wonderfully inclusive in that regard.
Love to hear it. Joe Irwin, Doug Irwin, the owner and CBO of the Greenville Triumph, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show. Fellas, it's been a pleasure having you on. I am sure it won't be the last time as we watch this continue to play out. Appreciate the time, guys.
Hey, Rob, thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Doug, thank you very much, buddy. We'll talk to both of y'all very soon, I'm sure. There you go.
You got it.
There's Doug and Joe Irwin. They are the owner and chief branding officer for the Greenville Triumph, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. If you have any further questions about it, you're welcome to send them to me. I will make sure I pass them on and get answers for you from those two, as well as the rest of the county. When they start going in front of the county council for further questions and answers, I will make sure that I am there to cover that for you as well on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. We okay on time?
We still should be able to come back for a short segment. I got rid of a couple of things.
Okay.
Individuals, families, and businesses get right with the IRS. They're experts in the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, a powerful new program that can make resolving tax issues easier. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, Optimus award-winning team has helped thousands of people protect their paychecks, bank accounts, homes, and businesses by putting their tax problems to rest, resolving over $1 billion in tax debts for their clients. Call Optima now for a free consultation. Call 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to ESPN Upstate and all the sports, news, music, and podcasts.
We'll make sure you and your people do everything possible to see that it is perfect.
All in one place. It's the Odyssey app for ESPN Upstate. Odyssey is your new home for all the audio that matters to you. Download the Odyssey app today. Get all the sports you love.
Big day for the game of baseball. Get more back to normal.
And listen to ESPN Upstate.
On the 106.3 WORD Weather Center, here's the Upstate's most trusted forecast on ESPN Upstate. Cloudy skies this afternoon, high around 35. Tonight, a slight chance for snow early, decreasing cloud cover, low near 22. On Saturday, sunshine, high 41 degrees. Sunday, mostly sunny, high 48. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 34.
This feature is sponsored by Pfizer. Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray, it's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Furman fans, you have two more opportunities to see your Powell men's basketball team downtown at Ncaa Wellness Arena as weekends at the Well continue. Both games in February, the 5th against UNCG, and on the 19th it's the Wofford Terriers. Tickets available now at FurmanPaladins.com. That's FurmanPaladins.com. 2-game packs or single-game tickets available. Furman basketball downtown weekends at the Well at Ncaa Wellness Arena. We'll see you there.
Golfers, the best Upstate deal on golf is back and on sale now. The 2022 Upstate Golf Card gets you a round of golf at 10 premier Upstate courses and still only $99. Grab your foursome and get your Upstate Golf Cards now to play courses including the Preserve at Verdane, Willow Creek, Legacy Pines, Carolina Springs, and more. Order at the UpstateGolfCard.com. 10 rounds of golf for only $99. UpstateGolfCard.com. UpstateGolfCard.com.
We travel to see what's around the bend and what we're capable of.
And now Capital One's new class of travel cards can keep up with you. Introducing Venture X from Capital One. With 10x miles on hotels and rental cars, and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel, and 2x miles on everything else you buy. Venture X, for those always asking, where next? Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details. You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TracFone Wireless, you can keep the phone, number, and network you already have. Already got a 5G phone? Keep that too. Because TracFone runs on America's best.
Nick Bosa and Jimmy G, both full participants.
Walker's a go-to. That's a big boost. We're gonna do some NFL in the next hour. Thanks to Joe and Doug Irwin for joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the last segment. I've gotten a couple texts that came in after the interview was over or towards the end of it. If you have any questions about the interview we just did or any questions you'd like to ask them moving forward before this project goes in front of the county council for approval, feel free to text them in to 71307. I am keeping a running list of them. I will be having more conversations with the Triumph as we get closer to that, because this isn't something I don't think the county should just blindly support, right? I absolutely think that questions should be answered by the team, by the club, by the groups that are building it, by the engineers, et cetera. I think that's a good thing for communication, and I will ask those things moving forward and present them to you here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Hour number 2, a lot of football. We're going to give you our 4 winners headed to the AFC and NFC championship game in the next segment. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate.
Indicators are showing that former Washington head coach Jake Gruden is the leading candidate to be the next Carolina Panthers offensive coordinator. NFL Network reporting that he did have a second interview with the team on yesterday. Colts running backs coach Scotty Montgomery has also had 2 interviews with the team. College basketball this weekend. Clemson on Saturday will match up against Pitt, while South Carolina will take on Georgia. Also, Furman and Wofford will match up against each other coming up tomorrow night. That's a game that you can hear right here. And in South Carolina Upstate, they've got a Saturday contest against Charleston Southern. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. For ESPN Upstate Sportscenter Update, I'm Matt Pauley.
Have you heard Offsides with me? ESPN Upstate.
The Divisional Round of the NFL playoffs finishes with a Sunday doubleheader. Hi, this is Scott Grant. Join me and the rest of our Westwood One crew for all the action. First, Tom Brady and the Bucs host the Rams. Then it's a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game when the Chiefs host the Bills. Coverage begins at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. From the wild card round all the way to Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles, the NFL playoffs are right here.
Sunday afternoon at 2:30 on your home for the NFL playoffs. ESPN Upstate.
Morning. And check this out. For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Yeah, real, unfiltered sports talk captured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Only on ESPN.
Upstate.
Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob and Lonzo with you here on the radio broadcast. Let's jump into our NFL Divisional Round preview now as we get set for a pair of AFC and NFC matchups to determine who moves on to our conference championship games. And we've got a little bit of news here, Lonzo, as the San Francisco 49ers will apparently be at full strength. There were 3 big-time injuries in the 49ers divisional round show, or before the divisional round showdown with the Green Bay Packers. Linebacker Fred Warner had a busted-up ankle. Jimmy Garoppolo had a busted-up shoulder, and Nick Bosa have a concussion, and according to ESPN, at least Garoppolo and Warner will be back having practice. Joey Bosa has been hit with a questionable tag. However, he was seen at practice, and reporters out of the San Francisco area are expecting Nick Bosa to be available. I said yesterday on the show, Zoe, that to me, whether or not they were available was the big question mark for the 49ers for Saturday's matchup. They made their money this year. They got into the playoffs by having a very disruptive defense, and it was based around Bosa blowing up the pocket and Warner being there to clean up the mess. Both of those guys being available, Zoe, is a massive upgrade for the San Francisco 49ers. I said if 2 of those guys play, I'm looking upset. Not definite, but potential. I'm looking at it. If one of those guys plays, you got to think it's a possibility, but Green Bay's favored. Looks like both of them will be back on defense, and Jimmy Garoppolo will be able to go. However, it is going to be cold as ice on the field at Lambeau, and Jimmy Garoppolo has never played in a game that's below freezing. He will do so on Saturday night. Good to have the defense back at full strength, Lonzo. That's a big benefit, but the Packers definitely still have a home field advantage against a QB that has never thrown when the Gatorades turn to ice.
Oh, haven't used it in a while.
Bravo.
Yes. This is interesting, and it's especially worrisome for Green Bay, seeing that they're full. But you know, when it comes down to, you want their best to play your best. I think as a competitor, you want those guys out there to play against them. And I'm looking forward to this game. This is Saturday. This is the one I want to see the most, just because I am curious if Garoppolo can shake off the naysayers and deal with the weather, because cold weather, it sucks.
It does suck. I concur. I am not a fan. You ever been hit when it's below freezing?
Well, yes, I have multiple times.
It's like weather rolls with advantage. It hurts. It hurts more. It really does. But it's all the little things, right? The football is harder to throw when your fingers are numb, when the ball is rock hard. The football's harder to throw. The football's harder to catch too. And you can put gloves on. You can put those nice receiving gloves on. The football's still harder to throw and catch. And it's harder to throw and catch for both teams. But one of them has played in this weather a couple of times this year. The 49ers really have not. And Garoppolo has never done it before. There's a lot of times where I think people, Alonzo, dive into the intangibles, right? They dive into the intangibles and they go, oh, yeah, this is going to have a huge impact. This guy he's never played on the road at this distance from home without his aunt and uncle in the stadium, right? We dive into intangibles and we dive into things that, frankly, once the ball gets snapped, people don't really think about. We really like to put a heightened exaggeration on those things. Weather is not an intangible. It's a tangible. It's very tangible. And a sub-freezing weather for a dude who has never played in it before, at least never played full game speed in it before, it messes with you because it's not something that you can go out of sight, out of mind, right? Mama and wife not being in the crowd when the ball's kicked off, you don't think about it anymore. That goes out of your head. You can't not think about 26 and snow because it's all up in you.
Well, see, there's something else. You mentioned the crowd. The crowd does come into play here because there's nothing like playing in your first game in these kind of temperatures and looking up in the stands, seeing they're full when they shouldn't be. Because you're thinking, okay, sane people are not coming, sitting in this weather to watch a football game, and they will. And not only will they, there'll be some up there without shirts on, which should not happen. That gets in your head when you look up there and go, okay, I am freezing. What's wrong with that, dude? This place is crazy. Why am I here?
No, I agree. It's a different kind of thought. Now, I'm from Florida. In my entire athletic career, I played in maybe one or two games of any sport was freezing, predominantly soccer. And even in soccer, where you're not, it's not nearly as physical in terms of direct dude-on-dude combat in the trenches, it still stinks. Everything stinks. Headers sting, the ball's harder. When you hit the ground, it all stinks.
By the way, just running in that kind of weather, it hurts.
Breathing in that cold air.
You know that feeling, I'm talking about the bottoms of your feet. You know that feeling when your legs go to sleep and you stand up and you start to walk, the tingly thing? It's like that constantly because you cannot keep your feet warm. And especially if there's snow on the ground, your feet get wet and there's just so much. And when you hit somebody, usually you can go all out and hit somebody and it doesn't hurt as bad because you're initializing the contact, but it feels like it hits back because it's so cold. And if you have exposed skin that gets hit while you're doing it, it's just, it's indescribable. And that's what San Francisco is going to have to deal with.
When you are not you can get used to it. It's still going to bug you, but you can get used to it. But if you tell me that sub-freezing temperatures will not, by the way, I'm looking at ESPN's got the graphic up right now. Temperature at kickoff on Saturday night, Zoe, 4 degrees.
Yep, I've been there.
4.
I've been in that with the they said wind gusts.
People live there on purpose, not like they're trapped there. 4 degrees. If I'm in a place that's 4 degrees, Lonzo, it's because I'm trapped and emergency services cannot get to me.
Like I said, I've been in cold, so cold that your snot freezes and it hurts. It feels like daggers in your nostrils. If you feel like your eyes are freezing, and then you go to school and you play football at that. And that's what they're doing.
No, I don't. Will not.
If you wonder why I detest snow with all my being, that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, I just no. Just no. Can't do it. Look, if you're telling me 4 degrees, it's not expected to snow. That's good for San Francisco. Because 4 degrees is one thing. 4 degrees in the snow is different. Everything changes even more in the snow, so it's good it won't be snowing. But 4 degrees for a guy who's never played in a kickoff temperature below 40, the difference between 40 sucks, but the difference between 40 and 4, you can't calculate.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You want snow because it has to be warmer to snow. So the fact that that means clear skies. That means cold. Cloud cover causes it to warm up a little. So it would be warmer if it was snowing.
No, just no. And don't tell me, once I get 20 minutes into a game, he won't feel it. BS. Garbage. Right? Last weekend when we had the ice storm, the lady friend and I went and took a walk. Like that, what was it? Late Saturday, we had that quick little snowstorm where it actually snowed, not like sleeted, it snowed. The lady friend's like, let's go take a walk in the snow. And I said, I don't know if I love you that much, but I do. So I did. So I strapped on the boots and we took a walk in the snow and we got around the corner and it was not 4 degrees. It was like 28. I'm like, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. She said, well, when you're active, it doesn't seem as cold. I said, oh, I am not saying I don't hate this. I'm just saying it's not quite as bad as I thought. These dudes are not rolling around like I was in a pair of thermals, covered up by a pair of fleece pants, covered up by a pair of blue jeans, 2 pairs of socks, a pair of hiking boots, 2 shirts, a short sleeve, a long sleeve, a hockey jersey, and a jacket over that, and a beanie.
Dude, how are you moving?
Slowly and predominantly on a flat surface, right? It sucks. It is not super fun. It's really not. It's going to have an impact on the 49ers. Texter says the ground at Green Bay will feel like falling on concrete. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. And again, Green Bay's done this. They're practicing in this. This is not going to be new to them. It's going to be new at least to the starting quarterback. Texter says, are you telling me Jimmy never played in cold weather at Eastern Illinois High School? I'm telling you, and again, I have not researched Jimmy G's entire career from high school through college, but I'm telling you that ESPN has the stat up that Jimmy Garoppolo has never started a game where the temperature was below 40 degrees at kickoff.
You said started a game. Doesn't mean he wasn't at a game.
Doesn't mean he hasn't done it.
Because he was with New England, which means he would have had to go to Buffalo at least once. So, I mean, he's experienced it. He knows but it's different standing on the sidelines or sitting on that heated bench than it is being out there on the field the entire time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a different level. It's a different level. All right. 844-GSP, ESPN is the number. Lonzo, my call screen's not filled in on my information, so who we got?
We have Greg.
Greg, welcome to the show. Great to have you. Thanks for taking a minute, bud.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to tell you a quick cold weather football story. I used to live in Wisconsin. I moved down here about 7 years ago, so I'm what they call a damn Yankee. But I moved down here. I was in high school. It was freezing cold. We played a game when it was in freezing rain, and I mean it hits you differently. I was standing on the sideline, and I was a backup player. And my coach came up to me. We were beating up on this other team, and he comes up to me and he says, "All right, you and the backup quarterback, go get ready. You're going to go in the game in a little bit." I couldn't grip the football. I was a center. I could not get my hands on the football. My hands were so numb. I didn't know what the football felt like.
Yeah.
So I went up to the coach and I was like, "Keep your starters in there because we're going to fumble as soon as we get."
Yeah, Greg, it's different, man. The ball is harder. It's got a different texture to it. The contact when the ball hits your hand, especially if you're a receiver, obviously, when it leaves your hand, if you're a quarterback, everything about it is different. And I know we have a cold weather game every year where we have this conversation, but it is even more important when you have a team coming from Santa Clara, where if I had to guess, the temperature's probably in the 60s at the lowest today, that not only has not had to do this, but hasn't really even gotten the opportunity to practice. They probably flew to Green Bay last night. They'll probably do a walkthrough outside today, but that's the exposure level for the 49ers. I don't believe off the top of my head they had a cold weather game so far this season. Everything is different. And it is the one reason that even with Bosa back, even with Warner back, even with Jimmy G back, the one reason that even with all the starters back, I'm still leaning Green Bay, even if I think Debo has a game-changing potential inside of him.
So when are we picking? Are we picking now?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
What are we doing? We're picking this game? All right, so I'm leaning Green Bay also, but I would not be shocked if San Francisco were to win. I don't think they're going to. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to go 24-21 Green Bay.
I like the score. I'm going around the same thing. I think it's going to be a little bit lower scoring. Green Bay is going to put up points, and I think San Francisco is going to find the end zone. Again, Debo Samuel was too good even in the cold not to move that offense up and down the field. But I think it's going to be a slower game than we think it's going to be. I think San Francisco is going to struggle early to move the ball through the air. I think that having, and again, Debo's done a great job at, what did he call it? A wide back. I think he called his hybrid position, which, by the way, and I want to have this conversation later as well. I think Debo Samuel is kind of creating a situation, Lonzo, that's going to make us rethink the way we look at positions in football, right? Like we look at guys and we go, that's a running back, that's a wide receiver, that's this, that's that. And there are other guys, Christian McCaffrey, one of them, Alvin Kamara, one of them, that have started to play a hybrid role. But when I say run CMC, we think running back. When I say Alvin Kamara, we think running back. We know their danger, their utility outside of being just a running back. But I don't know that there's a hybrid player that is going to make us rethink utilizing guys in multiple positions that they can switch in and out of based on the play, based on the base defense they're looking at, quite like what Debo's doing right now. That being said, Green Bay's defense is one of the most adjustable in the NFL, right? They can send it a nickel package, but walk up DBs and almost have one play a hybrid linebacker spot. It's going to give them some options that I don't think Dallas, a more traditionally built defense, had last week. I like Green Bay. I like lower scoring, Lonzo. I'm going to go 17-14 Green Bay. I think it's a one-score game. I think it's a close game. I'm going to go 17-14 Green Bay in this one. I think the Pack rolls on. I think the Pack hosts the NFC Championship game. I just think that Green Bay can get out to a better start. And if they make San Francisco play catch up and rely solely on Jimmy Garoppolo throwing the football and force San Francisco to move Debo out of the backfield and out to a traditional wide receiver spot because they have to throw the ball, it changes up what San Francisco wants to do, and it changes up what they can do having to play catch up. I'll take Green Bay by a field goal. Texas says, mark my words, Debo will be the game changer. Get some Debo, 9 exclamation points. I agree Debo is an X factor, maybe the X factor in this game, if he can be the X factor. If San Francisco goes down 10 early, Debo's got to go back to being a traditional wide receiver because they've got to throw the ball at that point, and I think that changes it up. We'll talk more about it later on when we come back. Tampa Bay on the other side of the NFC. We'll be hosting the LA Rams. 1 year, I'll stop doing that. We'll be hosting the LA Rams, Sean McVay's boys. Is there enough in the tank to outpace Brady? Yes. And we'll talk about it next on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate. Tell you about my friends at Harley Davidson of Greenville. You know, we were talking earlier about Mauldin, South Carolina, and we've talked about Lawrence, and we've talked about all these great smaller communities outside of the two mainstays of Greenville and Spartanburg. One of the things that I've really enjoyed doing since I moved here is learning about these little communities, popping them into the phone, and then taking a motorcycle ride out to visit these little towns because there are some incredible places to go visit. And riding around to these towns and learning about them has been helped by Harley Davidson of Greenville, because not only have I gotten outfitted from HDGVL, not only has Harley Davidson made sure that I am riding as safely and looking as cool as I do when I do it, but when I've had questions about, hey, I want to check this out or check that out, they will sit there and go, okay, here's our suggestions. Here's the best ride to get there. Make sure you stop here, here, and here to see this, this, and this. It is not just a business that's going to sell you a motorcycle, pop you on the interstate, and say, we'll see you in a year when you need an oil change. This is a place that wants to make sure that you get every bit of passion out on the roads that you want out of your riding life. Check them out online at upstateharley.com or go to their beautiful showroom at 30 Chrome Drive in Greenville, 30 Chrome Drive in Greenville, or you can contact them on their website at upstateharley.com. I have loved working with them. You will too. It's our friends at Harley Davidson of Greenville. Yeah, that's all good.
All indicators are showing that former Washington head coach Jake Gruden is the leading candidate to be the next Carolina Panthers offensive coordinator. NFL Network reporting that he did have a second interview with the team on yesterday. Colts running backs coach Scotty Montgomery has also had 2 interviews with the team. College basketball this weekend. Clemson on Saturday will match up against Pitt, while South Carolina will take on Georgia. Also, Furman and Walker will match up against each other coming up tomorrow night. That's a game that you can hear right here. And South Carolina Upstate, they've got a Saturday contest against Charleston Southern. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you know.
Joe, I did. My man Fitzy went shirtless and was loving it. I love Fitzy because dude has always just been the guy that lives his best life. It's awesome. It's great. I love an athlete that is still a dude, right? That's still a guy that still goes out and lives his life and has a great time and is authentically himself. And I love that about Fitzy, and I love seeing him at that game. My dude was having a blast.
That's why he's an MVP candidate. But here's why he's not that valuable. In those 10 games, the Nuggets are just 5-5 and 3-7 against the spread. In the game following the triple-double, the Nuggets are 7-2 and 6-3 against the number. Denver hosts the Grizzlies tonight.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep the facility running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, and Maria in Miami, Jules in Minneapolis, and Stan in Central Indiana, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with experienced branch staff at over 250 locations, so you get the product you're looking for. Call clickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Fisher Investments, our clients know we have their backs. How do your clients know that? Because Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first. So wait, you do it because you have to? No, we do it because it's the right thing to do. Our clients trust us with their retirement savings, and we know how important that responsibility is. So we take the time to really get to know them. Get to know them how? We make sure we understand their unique goals, finances, health, family, and lifestyle, so we can tailor their portfolio to their specific needs. Our goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement. Sounds like a big responsibility. You must make big commissions then, right? No, we don't sell commission-based products. We have one single transparent fee that's structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
I'm Pablo Torre, host of ESPN Daily, where every morning we present the best sports stories of the day. And ESPN Daily is presented by Supercuts. Supercuts is the perfect way to get a haircut if you're someone who doesn't have time for a haircut. You just check in on the Supercuts app. The highly trained stylist of Supercuts gives you that fresh cut feeling fast. And it's not just any haircut, it's Supercuts. Check in now on the Supercuts app or on Supercuts.com.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Ready for an oil change? We can help get the right protection at the right price. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Daily Protection or Valvoline Max Life High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP oil filter for just $28.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day pickup or next-day delivery. Restrictions apply.
This portion of the Rob Brown Show is sponsored by Pfizer. Come rain or shine, high winds or mild breezes, blue skies or gray, it's a great time to consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Brought to you by BioNTech and Pfizer.
Wait for Upstate Sports Junkies.
All right, Tampa Bay taking on Sean McVay and the LA Rams. Of course, this show is absolutely an LA Rams hater show. I acknowledge that openly. I do. I'm intrigued by this game.
I don't think you should speak on behalf of me.
Well,
as far as this show being a hater show of the Rams, because I don't hate the Rams.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Half of this show is a Brady hater show. It is the other half. Half of the show an LA Rams hater show. It is this half.
There you go. So it's pretty equal this weekend.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by this game only because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have lost so much weaponry offensively, right? They're down to Evans, they're down to Gronk, and they're down to Brady. And they're down. I mean, they got a decent run game out of it with Fournette able to catch some balls out of the backfield. But Sean McVay in the last 2 weeks, really, obviously last week's wild card round where they demolished the divisional Cardinals. By the way, a team that's seen them twice already, right? They lined up against that team twice already and were still able to pick them apart. That's got their full complement of guys back. And even Odell Beckham Jr. acted up again last weekend, got back into the fold, got back into the stat sheet last weekend.
I hope
This team is
Kyler's found his smile again. Poor little guy. Poor little
My dude
fella.
got absolutely wrecked. Absolutely wrecked. Injury report for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as it comes out right now. Shaq Barrett and Giovanni Bernard were both practicing, although Bernard was limited. I love this on the injury report only because I can't wait for Zoe's reaction to it. Tom Brady did not practice yesterday, Lonzo. Did not practice yesterday. He is listed as not injury related, resting player, end quote.
He is listed as old. That's what
Literally
he's listed as old.
Listed as took a nap. Did not participate, napping. Inside linebacker Levante David was limited. Cyril Grayson, who, by the way, I think is, if the Bucs were to repeat, Grayson would have to be a big part of it, right? The wide receiver core for Tampa Bay has been decimated. Grayson's one of the fastest couple of dudes in the NFL and has shown it a couple of times. Did not participate. Neither did Ronald Jones. So big question marks for those two cats. On the flip side, there was only two did not practices for the Rams. One of them, Buddy Howell, backup running back. The other, Andrew Whitworth, the offensive lineman. But other than that, the Rams are just more healthy than Tampa Bay. This game's going to be in Tampa. It's going to be decent weather. There's no concerns like there are for San Francisco. Tampa at full strength, right? Without an Antonio Brown doing what he did. With Chris Godwin available, I go Tampa in this game easy. But with the loss of offensive weaponry that they've had, with the need for guys to fill roles that they've had, I think that the LA Rams offensively keep the ball away from Tom Brady. And when Tom Brady has the ball, he has to make big plays. The big plays last weekend for Tampa Bay came out of Gronk cutting across the middle, right? Like that's the game got broke open once Gronk found some rhythm. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's tough to stop Ron Gronkowski. That's why he's the Gronk machine. It's tough to do it. But I think LA knows that. And I think LA focuses on the guy. You know me, Zoe, I am not in your camp of Brady hate, but I think this is the upset in the NFC. I think the LA Rams get it done here. I'm not a Rams fan. I think at some point they fall apart. But if there is a guy in the league who can diagnose Bruce Arians' offense and, more importantly, keep them limited on the sidelines, I think it's Sean McVay. I'm going to take the Rams. I think it's a shootout. I'm thinking it's something like 35-32. I think that we're going to run out of fireworks in this one. I think like 35-32. I'm taking another close game. Give me the LA Rams to upset the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The key to this is the Rams defense. Look what they did. You just talked about Arizona, how they were able to get pressure on the quarterback. Look at what Philadelphia's defense did to Tom Brady. Have you ever seen him sacked that many times? Tristan Wirfs, if he's out.
Yeah, he's a big question mark still.
If he is out, Brady has got to be worried. And when you've got Aaron Donald on the other side and that defense, it's been playing really well and getting pressure on whatever team they play, Gronk may not be a factor because Brady may have trouble staying upright. And I think that's going to be the key factor. I'm not worried about the Rams offense. I think they're going to play well enough to win. And I really think it comes down to, can Brady stay upright?
Here's the good news for Tampa Bay. The good news is for Tampa is what worked for them last week were not long passes. They weren't Brady needs 3 seconds to find guys, 4 seconds to find guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, reading the field. What worked for Brady last week was quick hits, right? It's Gronk on a 5 and in. It's Mike Evans on a 5 and in, and baiting defenses up to then eventually have 1 or 2 home run balls down the field. I don't think that Tampa Bay is not going to have a home run ball or 2 from Tom Brady here or there. And touchdown pass last week to Mike Evans over the shoulder. That was as good of a throw as we've seen out of Brady in many years.
Must have missed that one.
Tom Brady's still putting the ball on dimes when he gets chances, right? He's still putting the ball on dimes when he gets chances. That back shoulder throw from Tom Brady's as deadly as it's ever been in his career, but he needs time to set that up, and I don't think LA is going to allow him to have it. I think you're exactly right. I think Philly showed, especially as you mentioned with Tristan Wirth down with an ankle. Bruce Arians said on Tuesday that the decision on whether or not he plays effectively gets made at game time, right? They'll put him out there on the field, let him run through warmups and see if he can go. If he can't go, it's an upset. He's that important to that line as an anchor. If he can go, I still think we have a very close game, but I think LA's ability, especially with Cam Akers, by the way, because how good was Cam Akers coming back? Talk about a freaking NFL small miracle.
Yeah, and the fact that he ran as much as he did.
And looked damn good doing it.
And you would think that they would try to protect him a little bit, and they did not. I mean, and he was getting hit hard and was jumping right back up. So that is a scary sign for the other team. I'm thinking we're going to have a happy weekend.
Ain't no we. I don't have.
I think I am. Yeah.
I don't care. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'd like for both of these teams to lose personally for my own vindictive reasons. All right. But I think Cam Akers the X factor here. If Akers has a day like he did last week, if he can run the ball, and by the way, Tampa Bay's front seven's good against the run. Not a lot of teams were able to run against them consistently enough to make Brady not a factor, right? Teams have put up good numbers against them, but not in long drives. Sean McVay is no dummy. He's brilliant, and he knows that. I think Akers is the difference. I think that LA can run the ball well enough to limit Brady, and when they can't limit Brady, Brady's just depleted on options. Give me LA here. I'm going to take the Rams in the upset. Zoe's doing the same thing. So I believe we both have Green Bay at home, right? Or did you take the 49ers?
No, we both
have
Green
Green
Bay
Bay at home, and we both have LA on the road. When we come back, let's break down the two AFC games. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. By the way, could this be the next great QB rivalry? I think there's a chance it is. We'll break that down and the game when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
What time are you leaving today?
I was planning between around 5, but
okay, because I could pay up on the lunch if you like Arby's, because she's bringing me Arby's.
Gotcha. No, we're going to lunch, buddy.
Oh,
we're taking a lunch break.
That's fine. That's fine. I don't like leaving my debts unpaid.
Including dust. So much dust. And that poor dust is picked up into the air. Just a couple minutes a day, and dust is gone. Strictly heavy duty sweeper. Proud partner of the American Lung Association.
This whole wall needs to be sheltered. This is a focal point in our Stellani's new restaurant will have the largest wine cellar in the city. She needs a robust sommelier with notes of procurement manager. Indeed can help her hire great people fast. Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 with your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Millions of people use Zoom Phone, the innovative and feature-rich cloud phone system for businesses of any size. Zoom Phone is simple to use, whether you're on a mobile device, desktop, laptop, or desk phone. And because every call is important to your business, Zoom Phone was built with reliability in mind, using geographic redundancy to keep your communications online. Empower your workforce with Zoom Phone. Visit zoom.com/phone system. Zoom, how the world connects. And terms and
10 legs and thighs packed with bold flavor. That's how we do value. So you can do the Church's 10 starting at $10.99 a day. Church's bringing them down home flavor. Offer valid at participating locations.
Making Moves is brought to you by Ncaa.
The 2005 Texas Longhorns began the season ranked number 2 and stayed there all season. Their defense allowed only 16 points per game, while their Vince Young-led offense averaged 50. The Longhorns went on to face USC in the BCS National Championship game against top-ranked USC, winning 41-38. And what many
So Bully Ray says that Moxley should have apologized to the fans.
Apparently, Aaron Rodgers dropped an F-bomb on NFL Net, too.
Seems to be perfectly acceptable everywhere else. So I, of course, think cursing in all of its forms are unnecessary. So
Just a word to me. It's only got the power you give to it.
it's just a word. Go ahead and say it now when we go back.
No, because I like my job more than that. It does have the power to cost me my job. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills set to take on Lonzo's Kansas City Chiefs, ladies and gentlemen. This one, I think this one's got the potential. I mean, both AFC games are very interesting to me, but Buffalo, Kansas City, the 3-2 game here is the most interesting because, Lonzo, I think we have the next great QB rivalry here, right? I mean, Josh Allen is an absolute stud. He's already beat the Chiefs, not just beat the Chiefs, but they smoked y'all all the way back in, what was it, week 5, I think. 38-20, the final there. And Josh Allen went 315 and
wait a minute. How is
38-20?
I mean,
18 points against the team that was in the Super Bowl last year.
It's still a 3 score. It's not a. I mean, 52-0. That's I guess.
No, that's an embarrassment.
I guess our definition of what smoking someone is.
I would say
different.
in the NFL, knocking off the defending AFC champions by 18 is a really, really impressive feat.
Well, maybe Sunday the receivers will actually catch the ball. Since Patrick Mahomes got all the vitriol from everybody during the little struggles there, but it was a lot of it had to do with receivers not actually catching the ball, and the offense is on fire right now. You're right, though. This is a matchup that we could see for years to come. Every couple of years you see this is going to be it. This is going to be the next Peyton and Brady. This is going to be it, because everybody wants that. I think it may still be too early. Let's go a couple more years. Let's make it 5 years.
Out of Josh Allen?
Yeah. Let's make it 5 years, and then we're good. I mean, as far as right now goes, Kansas City underneath Mahomes has made it to the playoffs every single year.
I would say that this is the most interesting QB v. QB battle we have left in the playoffs, right? Like, if you could stick any two quarterbacks together and say, I want to see these two guys go at it, Allen and Mahomes are the two guys I'd pick.
Except for the State Farm Bowl, which everyone's looking forward to and might have had a chance last year and still have a chance this year.
Yeah.
That also would be intriguing, but I do agree because these guys are in the same conference and went head-to-head every year, it seems.
This is fun. You know what the line on this game is?
No, I don't.
Chiefs -2, which means with the 3 points at home that we traditionally assume Vegas is granting, the Bills are better by a point, according to Vegas. Better by a point. This is a 3 over the 2 seed. You go back to that week 5 game when Buffalo, I'll say, thoroughly beat the Chiefs. The game was out of question.
Hey, you stick to whatever you want to call it. It was a loss by Kansas City. A chance for vengeance come Sunday night.
So, this game's interesting because since week 14, the best quarterback in the National Football League, we always talk about it, the best playoff teams, they open it up late in the season, right? They find their stride going into the playoffs. Since week 14, the best quarterback in the National Football League is Patrick Mahomes, posting the NFL's best QBR at over 76, 17 touchdowns to 2 picks in 6 games. Dude is averaging about 2.3 touchdowns through the air per game and just 2 picks. The Chiefs in that stretch, averaging 36.5 points per game. You know how many turnovers they've committed in that same stretch? Total 4. 4 turnovers, 2 of them INTs, averaging 36.5 points per game. They have been the most dominant offense in the league since week 14. But the Bills last week against the Patriots put up the most dominant postseason offensive performance that we have ever seen. With the exception of kneeling the ball at the end of the game, Lonzo, every drive ended in a touchdown. No punts, no field goals, no turnovers. That's incredible. So Mahomes and the Chiefs have been better over a 6-game stretch, but the Buffalo Bills were significantly better. I wouldn't say that. Kansas City had an incredible offensive performance last week. But the Bills had the best offensive performance maybe in the history of the NFL playoffs. That being said, I like Josh Allen. I'm watching Josh Allen. I'm enjoying Josh Allen. I'm pulling for Josh Allen. And I like Buffalo because they're like the Saints fans of the North. They've been hapless for so long that they have just got to the point where the party was always the highlight of the day. I like the Bills and I like Josh Allen, but consistency in the playoffs is more important. And there has been no consistently better team over the past month and a half than the Kansas City Chiefs. Lonzo, your Chiefs will win this game, but they will win it 27-26, a 1-point game where something like a missed PAT or a missed field goal is the only difference.
All right. My former broadcast partner, Matt Tomlinson, who I shared the airwaves with for 14 years, is the biggest Buffalo Bills fan that I know. And he hasn't started talking junk to me yet. This is a concern. It absolutely is. And if he's listening, I'm waiting. The fact that he hasn't talked junk to me means that he has a quiet confidence, which makes me a little bit nervous. When you got someone who always talks stuff to you, especially when your teams play each other, you start to get worried when you don't hear from them. I'm already concerned about this game because eventually, just like when the Bulls going against the Pistons, eventually the Bulls got past the Pistons. Is this the year that the Bills get past the Chiefs? So I'm going to be nervous. I'm going to be really concerned probably most of the game. I do think this is going to be a fun game to watch, but I'm not going to go against my team in the playoffs. And I do believe that you're right. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. I think it's going to go Kansas City 34 and the Bills 31.
What's your honest level of nervous in this?
1
scale of 1 to 10.
1 to 10, 7.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I'd say for you about an 8. As well as they slung the ball last week, I'd say about an 8.
It's a 7 at this moment. Now, Sunday.
Text me on Sunday.
Sunday evening, that might change.
Texter on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307 says the Buffalo Bills had what was known as an NFL perfect game. Touchdown on every drive. No losses on any play except for the final victory, Neil. No interceptions, no fumbles, no turnovers. That's a perfect game. The only one all year in the playoffs. I think it's the only one in the playoffs. I did not see.
I believe it was
ever had that before.
I think it was historic. I do recall, I believe them saying that that's the first time that had ever happened, but you know.
Texter says, man, Lonzo is a sore loser. Can you say excuses? Go Bills.
What did I say about, I'm trying to figure. So you're already counting it as a win and that I'm being a sore loser before the game is even played. I said I was nervous. I gave your team credit. And maybe this is the person I was talking about. But if that's all he's got, then maybe I shouldn't be nervous.
Let's see. Texter says ESPN LFG Lonzo hashtag Chiefs Kingdom got this 38-24 Kansas City. That's from our buddy Casey Chiefs Chad. 38-24. Ooh, I don't see blowout in this one. Either way, I don't see blowout. I see
Kansas City does have something to prove. I mean, you could say the Bills do too because they can't get past them. But after a loss to them earlier in the season, you also got to look at coaches. the fact that Andy Reid was able to turn this thing around when they were struggling early, and you got to give him a lot of credit. They changed how the offense was, how they do things. Instead of going for the home run ball, they started hitting the short things, and I'm sure he helped Patrick Mahomes to become a little more patient and take what was available. If he continues that, I think that they're going to have a victory, but I don't know if it's going to be a blowout. But if it is, I'll be okay with it too.
Here's the one thing that makes me nervous. You don't often see quarterbacks get better the second time they play a team, right? Second time in a season you see a quarterback, you don't see numbers go significantly up. Josh Allen went 315 and 3 TDs, ran for 59 and 2 TDs the first time he played the Chiefs, and was better last week. Can he take what he did last week against the Patriots and translate that to a team he's now playing the second time?
Would you say there's more emotion going against the Patriots? Because I would, because that is a legitimate that's a legitimate rival for them, and they don't see Kansas City very often. So I think there was a lot more emotion last week than there will be this. I mean, yeah, they want to win, absolutely, but I don't think it's the same kind of emotion.
Texter says, ESPN, Patrick Mahomes again will be running for his life. The Bills will play another phenomenal game. Don't be surprised the Bills win 14-17. I don't see less than I don't see 30 or less in this game. There's going to be more than 30 points in this game.
If it's 14-17, I'm thinking people are going to lose some money. Although that's closer to the line, though, isn't it? You said the line is 2.5.
Line is Chiefs by 2.5. Yeah, which is the home field advantage. That is the home field advantage. Texture says 18 points equals a blowout. 14 points also a blowout. Quote, 14 points. I don't see a blowout. Rob says 38-35 Bills. I agree, but if I recall correctly, and I could be misremembering this game, Kansas City put one up late, didn't they? I think they put one up late on that game.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of memory because I'm elderly.
Over under in this game, Lonzo, is set at 53.5. 53.5. There ain't 30 points going on this game. Vegas can be wrong. They ain't going to be 23 points worth of wrong. I don't see it. Chiefs, by the way, that line, Lonzo, it opened at 2.5. Betting Public has brought that line down to Chiefs by 1.5 now. So the public money's coming in on Buffalo, which I find interesting. All right, let's come back. We'll break down the other side of the AFC bracket. Bengals, Titans. We'll give you our pick in that one. Both of us taking Kansas City in this one, but not by much. Next on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Meteorologist Jennifer Winchitsky on ESPN Upstate. Currently, it's 34.
Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to ESPN Upstate and all the sports, news, music, and podcasts.
You make sure you and your people live in the see that you get it all
in one place. It's the Odyssey app for ESPN Upstate. Odyssey is your new home for all the audio that you receive. Download the Odyssey app today for all the sports you love.
Baseball is more back to normal.
Listen to ESPN Upstate.
Do you really want to go through another year with that awful joint pain? Don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Hey, it's Charlie James. It's time to call QC Kinetics. Non-surgical regenerative treatments for joint pain. We're talking lasting results using natural biologics. No surgeries, no pain meds, no steroids, and no downtime. This is really exciting stuff. Regenerative restorative treatments that actually encourage your body to heal itself using highly concentrated natural biologics. Patients are raving about it for hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief. Don't let them keep giving you steroids, and don't let them throw you surgery as your only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics. Do it now and imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 864-448-3772. 448-3772. That's 864-448-3772.
If you're looking for a new job with great pay and benefits, Auto Kineton is for you. Formerly Tower International, Auto Kineton is hiring more. I've hunted for $2,000 sign-on bonus. They are looking for second and third shift production technicians with starting pay at $16.80 an hour and maintenance technicians with starting pay of $32.50 an hour. Rate increases after 90 days. Don't miss their hiring events every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 141 South Chase Boulevard at Fountain Inn.
Golfers, the best Upstate deal on golf is back and on sale now. The 2022 Upstate Golf Card gets you a round of golf at 10 premier Upstate courses, and it's still only $99. Grab your foursome and get your Upstate Golf Cards now to play courses including the Preserve at Verde, Willow Creek, Legacy Pines, Carolina Springs, and more. Order at theupstategolfcard.com. 10 rounds of golf for only $99. Upstategolfcard.com. Upstategolfcard.com.
This feature is sponsored by Indeed. When you're trying to find quality candidates, all the searching, screening, and interviewing can become a job itself. You need Indeed, the all-in-one platform that makes it easy to interview, screen, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the world is throwing everything it has at you, and to succeed, you need someone to guide you through. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the Windows PCs and tech advice to help you navigate whatever challenges you're up against and get you safely to where you want to be. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. A start to a simpler experience with Windows 11 Pro.
A Just for Pros event at Lowe's is back. Check out special savings on the toughest tools, handpicked for pros. Buy one Metabo HPT 36-volt battery starter.
So I'm getting that antsy. It's Friday. We're zooming along. Going to be done here pretty soon, but I'm not. That's got to keep reminding myself. No, you're not. Although it did go fairly quick yesterday. So hopefully it'll do the same thing today.
The Home Depot believes you can do anything, especially the things we have how-to guides for. Visit HomeDepot.com for thousands of tips, workshops, and ideas for projects.
If you got the opportunity to, would you buy stock and become an owner of the Green Bay Packers?
If I lived there, for sure. If not, I don't know.
I don't know if I would.
Because it depends on how much it costs. I mean, how you make your money back from that?
You don't. It's just the pride thing. You get to hang a piece of paper on the wall that says you're an owner of the Green Bay Packers.
If I were a big time, if that was my team, for sure.
Yeah, you'd absolutely do. Titans, Bengals, the Tennessee Titans are about a 3.5-point favorite in this one at home over Joey B, Jamar Chase, and the boys of the Bengals. That line is held consistent, by the way, stayed at 3.5. So betting money coming in relatively level between the two. Over under set on this one at 47.5. So they're expecting somewhere in the mid-20s for this game as well. Derrick Henry is going to start tomorrow, by the way. This game is going to be our first game of the weekend at 4:30. Derrick Henry is expected to go. Now, Henry was very good at the beginning of this year. Not as good as he had been the year before, but still very good this year. The Bengals' run defense, not very stout at all. Allowed the 5th fewest total rushing yards this season, but also came on the 5th fewest attempts by opponents. And the reason that teams throw on Cincinnati is they tend to get caught out of coverage. They tend to dedicate an extra defensive player up against the run, meaning they usually have fewer DBs in the set than a lot of other teams would. So it's been easier to run on Cincinnati. All those teams are likely to try to take advantage of certain situations. The other side of that, obviously, is that the Bengals have put up so many points scoring the football at will almost that a lot of teams have to throw the ball late in the game just to try to keep up with what Cincinnati's done through the air this year. The kryptonite to a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase style offense, though, the kryptonite is, much like we said with Tom Brady, keep them on the sideline, right? Just don't let them have as many snaps as they like. You can do that with Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry finishes this game, yep, I know exactly where you're going. I think. Carolina news?
Yeah.
Yeah.
According to Ian Rappaport, the Panthers are expected to hire former Giants head coach and ex-Packers offensive coordinator Ben McAdoo as their offensive coordinator.
Yep. Just saw that same breaking news. Go ahead and chalk the 2022 season up, ladies and gentlemen, as Matt Rule's last season. All right. Go ahead and chalk that up. I don't get this higher. I don't get this higher. Even if we take the needs a rock star higher off the table, we're going to come back to this, Theo, in the next segment. I wasn't going to do Panther stuff today, but now I have to.
It's breaking, man. I mean,
I
you know.
have to. So we'll come back to that in the next segment. Let's put a line on this one, though, before we get out of here. Derrick Henry and company didn't win games by a lot. Cincinnati did. Tennessee didn't have to when they were able to run the ball. A.J. Brown needs to have a big day. If A.J. Brown has a big day, I like Tennessee to win this game with Derrick Henry back. I'm going to take the Titans at home in this one, Zoe. I like Joey B and Jamar. I'm pulling for that guy. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks going right now. Give me the Titans in a close one. Let's go 27-23.
All right, I'm picking the upset. I'm going with Cincinnati. I've been swayed by myself, I guess. 24-14 Cincinnati.
So there you go. By the way, breaking news here on the show brought to you by our friends at BetQL. Smarter bets start with BetQL. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today. When we come back, we'll break that news down. Ben McAdoo, the new offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. I will give you my response. And no, it won't be laughing into the microphone for like 6 to 8 minutes. We'll have that for you in the next segment. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. You're listening to the Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year in the state of South Carolina, the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Indicators are showing that former Washington head coach Jake Gruden is the leading candidate to be the next Carolina Panthers offensive coordinator. NFL Network reporting that he did have a second interview with the team on yesterday. Colts running backs coach Scotty Montgomery has also had 2 interviews with the team. College basketball this weekend. Clemson on Saturday will match up against Pitt, while South Carolina will take on Georgia. Also, Furman and Wofford will match up against each other coming up tomorrow night. That's a game that you can hear right here. And South Carolina Upstate, they've got a Saturday contest against Charleston Southern. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, I'm Matt Pauley. AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, powered by The Score. Coastal Carolina basketball, they pick up a win over Georgia Southern yesterday, 2-4 in Lee Comfort and of South Carolina, the women's side for the state.
Tom Brady and the Bucs host the Rams. Then it's a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game when the Chiefs host the Bills. Coverage begins at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. From the wild card round all the way to Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles,
The NFL playoffs are right here. Sunday afternoon.
Nagano and Game both made weight.
What?
Francis and Cyril Gain, not Cyril Gain. Both
Yeah,
made
they
weight.
both made it. I saw it earlier.
The third, the final, the best of money hour. The Rob Brown Show goes now. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate, South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. Great to be with you once again. I am Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo at the controls. Had a bit of breaking news brought to you by our friends at BetQL. Smarter bets, starting this hour off with a bang, aren't we? Smarter bets start with BetQL. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today. Ben McAdoo has been hired as the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. And Rappaport tweeted that out just a couple of minutes ago. The Panthers expected to hire the former Giants head coach and ex-Packers man, but need to work out the contract. Rappaport says there are not expected to be any issues in that. Back as an offensive coordinator where he initially rose to prominence, says Ian Rappaport. And look, I don't let social media comments dictate how I feel about moves, but Lonzo, this one came across my screen a minute ago, and I'm in love with it. Someone has taken the Panther head logo and put the grumpy cat head over the top of it, and it's fantastic. It's a great meme. I'm stealing it.
It's very good. Yes, I am enjoying that.
There you go. I just put it up on the stream. You can go watch the stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, or twitter.com/ESPN Upstate, or go to the YouTube app and search The Rob Brown Show. We broadcast all 3 hours live on the stream every a single day. Don't love this hire at all. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. I don't think it is a great move.
Would you have liked Jay Gruden better?
I honestly don't know. What about this?
They have to hire somebody.
Right. But is Ben McAdoo the right guy? Like, does he fit in with what you saw out of him in his previous OC jobs? With what you've seen out of him as a head coach, does he fit in? Texas says on the text line, guys, diehard Giants fan here. Ben McAdoo, more like Ben McDoodoo. That's all. Trust me, he's terrible.
So I'm curious.
Let me rephrase
This
that.
is not a surprise then.
I didn't have a question in their ability to hire a good offensive coordinator. I had a question mark about whether a good coordinator would want to be hired. Does that make sense?
Or is available.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a huge list of guys that are going to be available. And with there not being a huge list, Carolina, I think, and Pep Hamilton earlier this week turning down an interview with the Panthers put this on display. There's not a big list of guys available that we would go, that's a good hire. And of that list, Carolina's at the bottom of the list where people would want to be to perform that job.
It shows you that Eric Bieniemy has went down a bunch because this time last year he's getting all kinds of interviews. Offensive coordinator could have come to interview with the Panthers, and I don't even think they reached out to him. I know he's interviewing with the Broncos.
I believe as a head coach.
Yeah, as a head coach, but still.
If you're Eric Bieniemy, are you taking even a 30% pay raise to leave Kansas City to go to Carolina?
You are if you want to prove that it's not Andy Reid
and Patrick Mahomes.
That it's you, yeah.
Yeah.
So out of that would have been a rock star hire according to the last couple of years of coaching searches. But as far as that goes, no matter who they picked, it was not going to be something that people are going to be happy with.
Right. But I agree with that. But I said yesterday, and I'll say today, it's for a reason, right? Because anybody that fans would have gone, I like this hire, this is a good hire, doesn't want to be in Carolina. Again, I don't like, for the record, I don't like cracking on the Panthers. It does not make me happy. Because when the Panthers are good, your boy Ric Flair style makes more money. Woo! I want them to be good.
Not as good as Russian.
Not as good as Russian.
Just want to say.
I want them to be good. Right? I do. But with Matt Rule at the controls, who is by most of us considered a dead man walking in that position, as I have asked, even if you want to prove, let's say that Eric Bieniemy and guys in the like, let's say that some of them did want to go to a spot where they could prove, hey, it is not the system. It is not having a Pro Bowler or Hall of Fame quarterback. It is because I can coordinate an offense. You watched him can Joe Brady halfway through this past season. You watched that offense falter under 3 different quarterbacks with 3 different play styles. And you watched Matt Rule blame everything and everybody except himself. Right? Matt Rule's a dead man walking. If you walk into a room and there's a dead guy, you walk out of the room, traditionally speaking.
I'll take your word for it. Okay.
Haven't walked in on many dead guys. You traditionally don't hang out there long. So why would you come to a place where not only are you, unless you make a universal impact on the program, you are at max making it a year. And there's no promise that anybody else is going to pick you up the year after that, at least in that level of a role. And at minimum, when you come into a place that has no quarterback, no offensive line, a running back that's healthy, maybe 1 out of every 3 games if you're lucky, right? No resources, no tools to be good. And you still will be blamed and fired if that offense fails. Does anybody listening right now, any one of you, believe that Joe Brady is the reason the offense was bad this year? Do you, Lonzo? Do you believe Joe Brady was at fault?
No, I do not.
No, I do not either. Not a one of you believe Joe Brady was at fault for the offense being bad this year. None of you. So if you know that you are going to a job site that does not give you the tools to be successful, and when it inevitably is unsuccessful, the foreman puts the responsibility of failure on you and let you go from the job, why would you go? Why would you go? Eric Bieniemy gets a lot of credit for what Kansas City's doing right now, generally speaking, from the NFL, from coaches, from the media. And if he comes to Carolina, everybody there is going to blame him. I wouldn't leave either. I'd be nuts. You'd have to double my salary to get me to go there and do that job. Knowing that I am 85 to 95% chance one and done. And then I'm right back on the unemployment line. That dude can stay in Kansas City as the OC as long as he wants at this point. Why would you roll the dice on that? You wouldn't. You wouldn't. Texter said, did Carolina not know about the curse of Eli Manning? McAdoo benched Eli for Geno Smith to end Eli's Iron Man streak. This guy will forever be cursed and fail wherever he goes. That being said, great hire, Carolina. I'm looking around. Do you see any sarcasm on the floor, Lonzo? Because I think that guy dropped his sarcasm on accident.
All I know is that, yeah, Eli never deserved to be benched.
I mean, Eli won a Super Bowl.
He won 2 Super Bowls. He wasn't the reason, though.
Ben McAdoo did not help. He didn't help there. He's not going to help here. Right? Now, I'll give him credit where he deserves.
I was just going to say, ever the optimist me, perhaps he's learned his lesson from past mistakes. He's coming in here and he's going to prove himself by taking the Panthers to the playoffs.
Okay.
Do you want him to do that? If you're not a fan of Matt Rule, but you're a fan of the team, do you still want him to be able to do that?
Yeah, I want Carolina playoffs. That's 1 to 4 more remotes that I get paid for next year. Of course, I want him in the playoffs. That's more attention to that. I've told you. So far this week, we've done what? This is probably our fourth Carolina Panther segment we've done this week. We track what segments get listened to and what don't. We can actually see what segments you guys listen to both live and when we drop podcasts on you. There has been one segment of Carolina Panthers talk that is registered inside the top 10, and it was our interview yesterday with Rashad Beard. And that's because Rashad's audience comes and listens to that show, the ones that are outside of our area. Outside of that, and I acknowledge that maybe it's because I suck as a broadcaster that you guys aren't interested in my Panthers takes. Although I got a trophy that says that's not true. Maybe I'm just a bad broadcaster.
It's a pretty trophy, and even though, some people may not value it as much, it's awesome.
I value it.
Yes, so do I.
I think it's fantastic. I think it's pretty. And it looks damn good by the TV.
Because there's nothing like being recognized in front of a room full of your peers.
Yeah.
And walking up on that stage in front of radio and TV people from all over the state.
And beating out a very well-known show in the state capital where this competition takes place.
And a name that has been around
for a long time.
Longer than me and anyone on the station combined.
So we got a trophy that says we know how to do decent radio, right? The only Panther segment that registered this week was Rashad's interview. And Rashad shared that amongst his folks too, so they came to listen to it, right? Outside of that, there's no momentum. Do you understand how much better my life is when the Panthers are good? When you guys are interacting? Because you guys don't interact when a team's bad. Case in point, Lonzo, if I do a Clemson Tiger basketball segment or a South Carolina men's basketball segment right now, it's not going to be a lot to it. And the majority of it's going to be, why are they bad and why aren't they not bad?
Why is this coach still there? That applies in both places.
Yeah, that would be the segment. And I don't think there'd be a ton of traction.
Except a little bit nicer to Frank Martin because he scares me.
We get response from you. And this is what I told you. You guys have more control over what gets on the air here than you think you do. What you guys react to on the text line, on the Twitter, on the Facebooks, and on the air, what you guys react to gets more play. You guys don't react to the Carolina Panthers. My life, my job is easier significantly if and when the Panthers are good. Significantly better. Of course, I want them to be good. But are any of you inspired by Ben McAdoo getting hired? McAdoo joined Tom Coughlin's staff as the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants in 2014. He had been in other places before that, had spent some time with the Green Bay Packers as a tight end coach for, I think, 5 seasons there. Coached the quarterbacks in 2012 and 13. Then he moved to the New York Giants as the offensive coordinator in 2014. In his first season as OC, the Giants offense improved from the 28th highest scoring offense in 2018 to the 2013, the 13th highest scoring offense in 2014. In 2015, the offense took another leap forward, becoming the 6th highest scoring offense despite losing their starting left tackle and starting wide receiver that year, as well as starting tight end for most of the season due to injury. As an OC, Ben McAdoo's done okay numbers with the New York Giants. Statistically speaking, points only, but those teams had some really good talent on it under Tom Coughlin. Then he became the head coach of the New York Giants in 2016. Won his first game as head coach when the Giants beat the Cowboys. Finished the 2016 season 11-5, tying the franchise record held by Dan Reeves for most regular season wins. 2017, they started 0-5. He benched Eli Manning for Geno Smith in week 13, ending the 210-game streak. They would end up going that year, what was it? I think they were sitting at 2-10 when they fired Ben McAdoo after that season, along with Jerry Reese, the GM. Then he went to Jacksonville as the quarterbacks coach last year, fired after a single season. Statistically speaking, Ben McAdoo's not the worst hire they could have made. Not the worst hire. I also don't think he would have been the most inspiring hire. I don't think it moves the needle that much. And I think effectively, Lonzo, this year is just a buffer year between now and Matt Rule not being in there anymore and the Panthers hitting the reset button because the contract for Rule is so bad that they would rather be bad for a year and then just reboot the franchise.
You have just pointed out some of the accolades that McAdoo has as he progressively got better there for a little while as a coordinator. Now, he didn't do it as a head coach, although he had a really good year. So he has the potential to do well there. So I'm going to choose to be optimistic that he's going to come in, he's going to make some changes, and that he's going to be able to get Carolina back on the winning side of football.
Cool. Hope you're being right. I mean, I hope you're right. Let's see. Text says, I bet Ben McAdoo likes chili on his hot dog. Just saying. You guys understand I am not anti-chili on a hot dog, right? In fact, I prefer a chili dog to a regular hot dog, for the record.
As do I, as long as there's a dog involved.
Right.
And people around here, for some reason, think a chili dog does not involve the dog.
No, that's just a hot dog bun with chili in it.
It's a sandwich.
It's a long sloppy Joe.
Yeah, yeah.
It's an extended sloppy Joe. Texas says, Rob, you bring bad juju to the Panthers. The only resolution is for you to go back to Florida. Watch me get canned. And I'm like, why are you letting me go, boss? And he goes, because the Panthers suck.
Well, we know the boss is listening. We know. Good on you.
Reason to hate Matt Rule, I guess. Let's take a break. When we come back, I got a little quiz for Lonzo, a little pop quiz for Zoe. We'll see how he does next on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
Stupid mouse. He's working on stuff, you know. They replace things that are now outdated. Since someone decided to hire somebody else.
Joint pain? Don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Hey, it's Charlie James. It's time to call Kinetics.
One and done.
Wow. Trash can has been moved, so it's a little bit further underneath the table.
This is really exciting stuff. Regenerative restorative treatments that actually encourage your body to heal itself using highly concentrated natural biologics. Patients are raving about it for hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief. Don't let them keep giving you steroids, and don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics. Do it now and imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics now. 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772.
Want to cash in during the pro football playoffs? Try out Giving Props, a free-to-play contest on BetQL.com. Every round of the postseason, we'll post 10 props. Simply create an account and make your picks for a chance to win $2,000 in weekly winnings. Plus, just by signing up, you're entered into a random grand prize drawing for $10,000. Get started today at BetQL.com/props. That's BetQL.com/props.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good.
Just sent you something.
Twitter?
Yes.
I saw this the other day.
Okay. Benoit was trending, and I was wondering why, and that's one of the first things that popped up.
That was a pretty solid little leg sweep takedown at the
Well,
beginning.
no, at the end, there's a submission move put on. Did you watch the entire thing?
Oh, yeah.
A successful submission move.
Gets him down. Uses the arm for leverage to get him on his back. Keeps the arms constrained.
I'm guessing an MMA background of some sort, because that's just well
Yep.
done.
Gets the leg under him so he has access to the neck. Wraps the throat and holds on. Yeah, he's not going anywhere, is he?
See how many views it had?
2.4 million. God.
Start earning cash and saving lives.
Lonzo, I have a list of names here. I'm going to read them to you. And I want you to tell me what all these names have in common. And there's a lot of them, and they all have something in common. Okay? Here's a list of names. Burt Reynolds, Mickey Rourke, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mr. T, Muhammad Ali, Carl Banks, Daryl Dawkins, Joe Frazier, Rob Gronkowski, Ricky Jackson, Tommy Lasorda, Floyd Mayweather Jr., Steve McMichael, Ken Norton Jr., Shaquille O'Neal, William Perry, Chris Spielman, Lawrence Taylor, Mike Tyson, Bob Uecker, Reggie White, Alice Cooper, Drowning Pool, the band, Ice-T, Billy Corgan, lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins, Motorhead, Rancid, P.O.D., Run DMC, Snoop Dogg, Flo Rida, Puff Daddy, Rev Theory, the metal band, Matthew McConaughey. What do all those people have in common, Zoe?
Those are all adults that have had something to do with professional wrestling.
Ding, ding, ding.
And I did not know the question
No, he did
ahead
not.
of time.
No, he did not. Yesterday, after a show in the Upstate, I'd like to point out, spent an entire segment talking about wrestling. That was not ours, by the way. And after the text line blew up on them, supporting that, yeah, someone said, we don't like wrestling, quote, because we have fuzz on our peaches, end quote. That was the phrase that was used.
Allegedly.
No, it was a quote. I heard it.
No. Allegedly, because
we allegedly,
because there's no proof. We don't want the proof.
Right,
But
correct.
we have to take the person at their word.
Right. We don't like wrestling because we have fuzz on our peaches. And I wonder if the person who uttered the phrase and therefore insinuated that Lonzo and I do not have, quote, fuzz on our peaches, end quote, would be willing to tell Ice-T to his face that he does not have fuzz on his peaches. I wonder if he would be willing to tell Snoop Dogg to his face. I wonder if he would tell Rob Gronkowski, Ricky Jackson, Floyd Mayweather Jr., Muhammad Ali, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Banks, Daryl Dawkins, Reggie freaking White, and the entire band Motorhead that they don't have fuzz on their peaches, because every one of those names that I just read you have all been directly involved in some sort of WrestleMania storyline since WrestleMania 1. And I left off an extensive list that I could have added.
Yeah, and I just want to say, there are things in radio called bits, and you do a bit, and you're trying to get, and it's part of the business. You're trying to get people involved, trying to get people to react, and go. Sports entertainment, what it is a bit. And here's how you know it's a bit, because if you believe it, then you never have a wrestler on your show. But if it's not a bit, I will just say I've had more wrestling interviews that I didn't set up on another show than I've had on this show. And so the person in charge of that show is the one who set up all those wrestling interviews. So maybe they're trying to pull something over on someone. Maybe it's just a radio bit. Maybe back in the day. And and I think it's Hulk Hogan's fault. I think they bought fault.
In fairness, I do blame Hulk Hogan for most everything that's wrong with wrestling. I'm good with that. I'm cool with it. I'm just saying. I was accused of not having fuzz on my peaches, I believe was the exact quote of the phrase. And I wonder if that would be a phrase that is said to Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah. Is that a third grade phrase or a fourth grade phrase? I don't think it's an adult phrase. I don't. But, what do I know? I'm not an adult.
Texter on the Preferred Home Services text line says, congrats to you, Rob and Lonzo. Y'all got the other show to talk about wrestling for an entire segment. I take my Michael Scott bow of approval.
This has been used before, but it's untrue from everybody else. We are show prep for everybody else. That's what we do.
Texter says, do you think they invested their money in wrestling because they love what they are doing or because they love the people that it attracts and the profit it makes? You're confusing a business decision with the decision of love for a sport or an art. And attending the Killer Kowalski School of Wrestling in 1981 in Boston, Massachusetts, I happen to know the answer. Love wrestlings and let the fans love it the way they want to. Yeah, again, we know it's not.
Ooh, if you went to Killer Kowalski's, how bad did that hurt?
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
It sounds like that would be really painful.
Yeah, I need those stories. Lonzo and I, by the way, have decided, because we're always in the market for new content, that's starting next week, once a week after the show, we're just going to do a Fight Club podcast. We're going to do a fight where we're not restricted by break times. We're going to do a Fight Club podcast. Where we will do the deep dives on wrestling, all the segments that here Lonzo and I cut good conversation short because we got to go to break. We're just going to do a podcast about it now. So stay tuned for that.
And I might have to hit up the someone from the other show for some phone numbers so we can get some wrestlers on.
By the way, for the record, so that it's very clear. Yesterday, Diesel sat in on the show. Lonzo had to run to the other station to take care of some stuff, so Diesel filled in. And he said, coming on the air, if you talk wrestling, I'm going to cut your mic and play elevator music. And he did. And I want you to know, I found it hilarious. I thought it was absolutely hysterical. I thought it was better when our show became a segment on theirs. I thought it was fantastic. Lonzo and I were at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena about, 2.5 weeks ago for Monday Night Raw. Lonzo, not a lot of empty chairs in that arena.
No, just a few. And you know what? Those were behind the curtain, so no one could sit there. And we don't really talk about that other show anymore because we don't need to. But this was necessary to bring up.
I'm just saying, I need to be there to Facebook Live the moment that Gronk and Schwarzenegger and Mr. T and Muhammad Ali and Carl Banks and Joe Frazier and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Steve McMichael and Shaquille O'Neal, who has wrestled, by the way, are all told
Wrestled well recently.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
an amazing.
So did Snoop Dogg, by the way.
Yeah.
So did Snoop on AEW. Not quite as well as Shaq, but he was in there. I'm just saying, if it's good enough for Ice-T. And by the way, I included Mr. I'm sitting in my office listening to heavy metal about death and destruction right now. I included Drowning Pool, Motorhead, Rancid, POD, Run DMC, and the Smashing Pumpkins on that list for him too. I wonder if the next time that he has Drowning Pool or the remaining members of Motorhead on his show, if he would say, hey, Lemmy's friends, you don't have fuzz on your peaches. I'm curious.
Yeah, because not only did they did two theme songs, if I'm aware. Time to Play the Game and
King of Kings.
King of Kings, yes.
Yeah. By the way, Time to Play the Game. Now the official puck drop music of the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. I'm not saying anybody in particular had any hand in that decision. I'm just saying Motorhead kicks off the Swamp Rabbits games now. Little bit of info. Quick break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
It's a different scoring system when you cut your mic off, but yeah, it's still,
Since I'm the only one that does that.
And his exact words were, "It changed my life. I used to spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to remove tomato sauce from inside our microwave and soap scum off the bathtub. It's like seriously magic, and my secret weapon for cleaning the kitchen, bathroom, doors, and walls, and even keeping my sneakers clean. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, greatest invention ever. Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, the unicorn of cleaning.
Ever have questions about your prescriptions? Even when you're in the middle of the night? Well, Walgreens now offers pharmacy chat 24/7. So you can ask an expert about things like the correct dosage of your medications or possible side effects. Speaking of side effects, the side effect of getting your questions answered at 2 a.m.? Sleeping much easier for the next 6 hours. Try pharmacy chat today or tonight, online or on the Walgreens app.
Look, staying healthy isn't easy. Watching your diet, hitting the gym, avoiding stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed effortlessly adjusts and responds to both of you. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. Don't miss our weekend special. Save $1,000 on the Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed plus special financing. Ends Monday. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
At Church's, we're doing 10 pieces of our crave-worthy comfort made spicy or classic. That's
well, I kind of need him to come now, but
how we do value. So you can do the Church's 10 starting at $10.99. Church's bringing them down home flavor. Offer valid at participating locations.
Hey, Ray Mariotti here. Have you ever cooked a really fine gourmet meal? Yeah, me neither. But I'm told it all comes down to the ingredients. And when I need ingredients to improve my carb, the place I go is eBay Motors. Whether you roasted your last transmission, graded your current floor mats, or pureed your side view mirror on a lamppost, eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And by the way, if you recently fired up your grill, don't worry, eBay Motors has grills too. eBay Motors. That's right.
Get help managing your money for the life and years ahead. With Fidelity Income Planning, we'll look at what you've saved, what you'll need, and build a straightforward plan to generate income, even when you're not working. A plan that gives you the chance to grow your savings and create cash flow that lasts. Plus, you can start, stop, or adjust your plan at any time without the unnecessary fees. Talk to us.
Oh, Texter would like to add Megadeth to the list of bands that have been directly involved with wrestling. Correct. Megadeth has been. A lot of metal bands. Guys.
A lot of late night hosts have been on there. There's a lot.
A former president of the United States is a member of the WWE Hall of Fame. Just saying.
The who's who of sports and entertainment have been on there, but if you don't want to be a part
just
of
about
that,
every Monday Night Raw in an NFL city, there's like a host of players from the team that are there, right? Like it's just here's a piece of advice that's gonna get you far. All right, it's gonna get you far. Let other people enjoy the things that they want to enjoy, and if you don't enjoy that thing, don't worry about it.
Hey Rob, we got peaches fuzz.
Want to remind you that your home for NFL playoff coverage is right here on ESPN Upstate. All 4 games this weekend will be broadcast live right here on the Big Stick and nowhere else in the Upstate, ladies and gentlemen. You are going to hear the NFL playoffs all the way up to and including the Super Bowl, which we can say the Super Bowl because we will be carrying the Super Bowl right here on ESPN Upstate. So if you're out and about, you're driving around, you got to work during the games, worry not, friends. We got you covered right here on ESPN Upstate. Glad to be able to do that for you and hope you enjoy. We'll have all the breakdown moving forward. All right, real quick before we get out of here, a subject that we brought up back in the lunch breakdown. I wanted to spend one more segment on it before we go to big stories. I think cue your Skynet music, Lonzo, as CONCACAF, the governing body of soccer in North America, Central America, and the Caribbean, has announced that they will utilize virtual assistant referee, aka VAR, for the remainder of the World Cup qualifiers. The next U.S. men's national game will be a week from yesterday evening, if I recall correctly. So next Thursday evening, there will be a U.S. game in which VAR will be used. A few days after that, the Americans will play in Canada as well. VAR in that game, it will carry on through at least the Champions League of CONCACAF into next year. On the same day that CONCACAF made that announcement, Major League Baseball has announced that at least for spring training and potentially longer, that AAA minor league baseball will now use automated balls and strikes. Again, it is at least through spring training, though potentially further. Automated balls and strikes will be utilized by Major League Baseball. So not one, but 2 major organizations have said that automated officiating is going to have a heightened usage in their sport moving forward. And this is good, guys. This is good. In soccer, I want to know if the offsides call was missed or if an offsides call made was incorrect. This is good. We want the sports to be won or lost based on the rules, not based on a person's mistakes involving the rules. If somebody asked me the other day, Rob, if it was theoretically possible, would you be okay with every sport being 100% robot officiated? And my answer was yes. Yes, because if a call is either objectively A or B, I want that call to be correct, and that is the entire argument. The baseball player was either out or safe. There's no interpretation there, right? Now, there are some calls that are subject to interpretation. The infield fly rule is subject to interpretation. You will have to have officials on the field for rules that are subject to interpretation. If a holding call is made, but the holding call is made 22 yards behind a wide receiver who has just caught a pass down the field and is running towards the end zone, is that a violation of the rule? Yes. but there's interpretation as to whether or not it impacted the play. And if it did not impact the play, sure, maybe we just let it hustle on, right? Maybe we just let it go. I am down to have live umps on the field. 4 rules that are subject to interpretation. But the overwhelming majority of rules in sports are not subject to interpretations. They are either A or B. They are either this or that. It's one or the other, right? It's a strike or a ball. It's not up for interpretation. It either is a strike or it is a ball. And to have a system that with a 99% efficiency can say yes or no, that's a good thing for sports because the pitcher either deserves the strike or the ball, and the batter either deserves to have a ball or strike called based on his ability to gauge the ball and decide whether to swing or not at it based on where the ball is over the plate. It's a good thing, and I am here for it because I want teams to win or lose based on their ability to get the call right and react to it athletically, as opposed to he got a strikeout because this umpire has a wider strike. Guys, there should never be an umpire with a wider strike zone. We should never have the conversation, well, that umpire's strike zone's a little wider. No. The strike zone is the plate. That's it. End of discussion. That's the rules. And we should abide by that. This is good. VAR in soccer is good. Automated balls and strikes. And by the way, Lonzo, all they're doing is balls and strikes. They are not VARing anything on the baseball diamond. It is only balls and strikes, and that's a great start.
When a umpire or referee can be hacked by, some outside source and made to go whichever way they want, I find that a problem. Can you make an unhackable robot?
I mean, when we get to that bridge, we'll burn it, right? But I don't think you want to be in a position. I don't think you want to be in a position where you don't do a good thing because what might go wrong. I'm not going to ignore the mountains of good things that could happen because of the molehill of bad.
All right. So all the robot jokes aside, although it's not really that much of a joke on my part, this won't last. It will not last.
Why?
This will go the way of the challenged pass interference call. They will experiment again. They're trying to push this. They're trying to make it happen, but it won't last. Because I'm going to say that the players won't like it.
I disagree. I think they will. I think a pitcher will. I think there are pitchers who benefit by having an umpire with a sliding strike zone. But I think batters overwhelmingly are going to be good with it.
I think there are pitchers who know, okay, this guy's umping today. I know what I can get away here. I know. I think the players will not like this.
I can't tell you definitively that they will or won't. I can't. I can see arguments on both sides. They're still back there.
Why?
To call the ball a strike, to make the signal.
Okay, so the robot is just to tell them if they were right or wrong.
No, the robot will tell them it was a ball or strike, and if it's a strike, they'll throw up the strike sign. If it's a ball, they'll call a ball, and they will keep track.
So it's not an actual. It's like a computer.
Right. R2D2 is not behind the plate yet.
I was more thinking, the T2000, but that's just me.
No, Arnold's not suited up behind the plate quite yet. We're not there. I need your chest protector. He's not back there yet.
It'd be pretty funny if they did.
It would be hilarious.
Did that, yeah.
But no, he's not back there yet. And the umpire's still got to be out there because he's calling out or safe at home plate when there's a contested play. The only thing this automated system does is track the baseball across the dish and call it ball or strike.
So if an umpire consistently gets things wrong, do they get fired?
They don't now, and that's bad.
Yeah, but when you have a computer to contest the things that they're doing,
we already do.
If they track that and go, okay, you messed up a bunch, sorry, we're going to have to replace you or send you down.
This is what's been so frustrating. Baseball already uses this to grade umpires. They already use it to grade whether an umpire has a good or bad strike to ball ratio, correct call ratio. So why, if you are using it to grade umpires on how good or bad they are, would you not just use it? That's what's never made sense. That's what's never made sense. Dexter says, he hit a chopper. Get down. Come with me if you want to double. I'm in for Arnold the umpire. Texture says, well, they cut the home plate umpire's pay since he won't have much to do. The MLB would not be doing this in AAA without the permission of the MLB Umpires Association unless they worked it into a new CBA, which that CBA was struck with the umpires last season, if I recall correctly. So I'm going to say no, the umpires are not going to get paid less, and they're not going to be replaced by this. It's just one less thing they have to do.
Yet.
That's what the new CBA is going to be for, but I think they got a couple of years before they got to get there. Texture says hackable, bribable, it's all the same. Well, you can't bribe a computer, but you can hack it.
Well, and all this
You can't bribe it yet.
All this as if there's going to be a baseball season.
Ladies and gentlemen, the emotional Hoover that is Lonzo Reitzel, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to have you here to bring everybody down, buddy. By the way, programming note, we will not have Saturday evening's playoff game, as we will have Furman basketball live on the air Saturday evening. So you will get the other 3 playoffs games. You get Furman basketball on Saturday night, but you will have the AFC NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl moving forward. So there you go. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Twitter, trending topics to wrap it all up on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
I'm geeking out today because Ghost dropped a new song yesterday, and it is awesome. It's really dark. It's very blasphemous. Basically a song written from Satan's perspective.
Okay.
It says, when God lets you down, I'll be here. Come on. Oh no, don't be a non-filer.
Of all the insulting things to be called, that's at the bottom of the list.
You didn't tell us how much you made. But you already know.
You non.
Why do we have to file? They should just send it back.
Resolving over $1 billion in tax debts for their clients. Call Optima now for a free consultation. Call 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144. 800-935-7144. Optima Tax Relief.
Do.
Join us at Brewery 85 Saturday, January 29th from noon to 5 p.m. for our 8th annual anniversary party. A day filled with live music from DJ Black Caesar, food from Attaboy Barbecue and local pie pizza, specialty cask beers and infusion beers. Get details at brewery85.com.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish is...
It's pretty bad.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
Because if you don't use it, you
don't get the benefits from it.
There you go. Nailed it. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? ¿Dónde está las drogas? That'd be one of my favorite bits. It's part of the Badman series that Pete, what's his name? Pete, the comedian.
Oh, Davidson?
No, not Pete Davidson. He had his own show briefly, but he did the whole Batman series, like the Batman can't stop talking about sex.
Yeah.
Pete something. I can't remember his last name. But he did one where Batman finds his voice. So it's like, why did he land on this super gruff one? So he does
he's like, hello, governor.
Hello, governor.
That doesn't work, man. That's not intimidating at all.
I was doing Malkovich. It's scary, right? No, it's not scary. Then he just gets really hoarse from trying too many voices, and that's the voice that Christian Bale landed on. Might help if I had Twitter open.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost of the attached muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on nearby. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates from Illinois.
Here's what's happening on the internet. Let's see what Rob Brown knows about it.
Surprise, Diesel's here.
Topic number 1.
Wrestling.
It's a sad one. Meatloaf.
And Meatloaf, the legend, passing away early this morning.
Don't
And-
call him Double Beatloaf.
No. Meatloaf gone. Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Louis Anderson
Also
passing away
Also
at
sad.
60. I only like 68.
Yeah.
I mean, like somebody said on Twitter earlier, and I really thought about this, and I almost share the same story. Meatloaf's video for "I Would Do Anything for Love."
Did we ever find out what that thing he wouldn't do was?
Yeah, he says it in the song. I think
Does he?
it basically if you read it, what it sounds like is that the only thing he won't do for love is leave you alone. Right? Like it's quasi stalkerish.
I'm not willing to not stalk you anymore.
Yeah. Basically he says here I'll give you the lyric. I would do anything for love. I'll be there till the final act, and I would do anything for love, and I'll take the vow and seal a pact, but I'll never forgive myself if we don't go all the way tonight. I would do anything for love. Oh, I would do anything for love. In the 45 minutes long that song is, it basically is, I won't stop stalking you, I think, is kind of the
To me, it
general
sounds like a
direction
guy
of
who
it.
says, I won't stop until I make relations with you.
Right.
Like,
Which,
girl, it's going to happen.
again, stalking.
Yeah.
But
It's a little rapey, actually.
The video for that song, for those of you that remember it, was genuinely like 14 minutes
It's
long.
incredible.
And it's a whole damn opera played out around this song. And I think it was one of the first times, Diesel, that I looked and I watched and I went, oh, music can be used for more than 2.5 minutes of entertainment while you're driving your car, right?
Well,
And I'm a music guy, but I remember that being one of the first times that I really thought people don't just write songs to sell CDs. They write songs to tell stories with art. And it was a big change for me.
Meatloaf's career is like a Venn diagram between rockers and theater kids.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There's a band called Falling in Reverse that's doing big, massive music videos like that. Operatic, cinematic style.
Yeah.
That you might like as well.
The
Moving on.
Darkness did that for a while.
Yep. Moving on to Nick Jonas. He's trending.
I am proud to say, there's my one. I am proud to say, Diesel, that as the proud owner of Fuzz on My Peaches, I am unaware of why a Jonas Brother is trending.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a Buck Cherry album. Sorry.
No.
I thought you were telling me that you had the entire Buck Cherry catalog.
No, I was referred to yesterday as enjoying wrestling and therefore not having fuzz on my peaches.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not know why Jonas Brothers are trending.
Nick Jonas and his wife are parents via a surrogate mother. So, cool.
Congrats,
man. You had a kid, but not really.
Celebrities.
Next up, Ozark is trending.
Have you watched Ozark?
I watched one season and I didn't like it, so I stopped watching.
It's one of the shows that I got through like 6 or 7 episodes, and I love Bateman. I think he's
I
great.
do too.
I love Jason Bateman. I got through it there, and there's a bunch of shows that did this for me. I got about 7 episodes into it, and I was like, "This is good," but there are other things that I want to finish before I finish this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
well, it's Breaking Bad in Arkansas.
Breaking Bad the exact same thing for me. I watched about 7 episodes of Breaking Bad because I got a bunch of friends that are like, "Dude, greatest show ever. You're gonna love it."
Yeah.
I watched like 7 episodes, and I'm like, "It's all right. Like,
What
it's
do-
good."
What do Breaking Bad and CrossFit have in common?
People who enjoy it will never not let you know that they
They'll
enjoy
never
it.
shut up about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I've got a very dear friend of mine down in Florida. Breaking Bad's been off the air, like 6 or 7 years now? Still everything he compares to Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, we get it. You like the show. And don't get me wrong, there are shows that I really love, like really love. I'm watching, the girlfriend and I are watching Afterlife with Ricky Gervais on Netflix right now. Absolute emotional gut punch, and it's phenomenal. And it's a show that I cannot stop watching. Like, I will finish the show before I do anything else. Neither Breaking Bad nor Ozark caught me like that.
Okay.
So there you go.
Do you stop and wait for your girlfriend so that you can watch the show together?
Yes.
Or do you sneak and watch ahead and then come back?
We watch it together with the understanding that if we know it's going to be like 2 or 3 weeks before we have an opportunity to watch TV together, which we're old and like staying home, so that's never a thing.
Yeah.
Like if it's going to be 3 or 4 weeks before, for instance, like she wanted to see the new Spider-Man movie because she's gotten into Marvel. I was like, I will wait for you. And I had to wait like 3 days before I could take her to see Spider-Man.
I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
I was willing to wait 2 or 3 days for her. Did you use this just to set that joke up? I waited like 3 days to see Spider-Man with her. But when, what was the last one that came out? Anyway, the last one came out before that. She's like, I want to see it, but I don't have a free night until like next Saturday.
It had the word home in it.
No Way
Spider-Man
Home was the most recent one. No Way Home.
It's Far From Home. No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Just bought a home.
Long way.
Couldn't get a home loan.
Long way for Home Sweet Home. Yeah. I believe was one. Nope, the Motley Crue.
Home on the Range.
Yeah, if I know it's going to be 2-3 weeks, then I'm not going to wait, and I will I will act surprised when we see it together. But I'm not going to. If she wants to watch something, I'll wait 3 or 4 days because I'm a good guy, Diesel.
Aw,
I'm a good guy.
That's nice.
With fuzz on my peaches.
It's good to know.
Enjoy the show. I look forward to your today's wrestling segment. We'll see how it goes. That's it for us. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you back here on Monday to do it all over again. All your NFL playoff games right here on ESPN Upstate. Later, brother. Later, stream. Thanks for hanging out. Hasta luego.